call the Monday, May 11th, 2026 meeting of the Concord City Council into order. I will just mention that if anyone in the audience here at City Council chambers requires hearing assistance, we do have headphones that you can use. They're available in the back at the Concord TV booth where Mike is waving right now. And thank you, Mike. And they will augment tonight's sound for you. So that is available. Would you all please stand now and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Councilor Brown. Here. Mayor Champlin.
Present.
Councilor Davey.
Here.
Councilor Fennessy.
Excused.
Councilor Foote.
Present.
Councilor Grady Sexton.
Here.
Councilor Horn. Here. Councilor Caleb.
Here.
Councilor Keach.
Here.
Councilor Kretovic.
Here.
Councilor Kurtz.
Present.
Councilor Schlosser.
Here.
Councilor Schultz.
Here.
Councilor Saku.
Here.
And Councilor Todd.
Here.
Thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of our April 13th, 2026 City Council meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor of adopting the minutes as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Thank you very much. Tonight, this moves us to the consent agenda. I'll mention that we've had 6 items removed from the consent calendar. Item 7, item 20, item 21, item 22, item 24, and item 27. May I have a motion to adopt the consent calendar with those items removed?
Your Honor.
So moved.
So moved. Counselor?
I am recusing myself from 2 items on the consent agenda, 22 and 23, as my husband is a police officer.
Thank you, Counselor. Are we ready for the vote?
Oh, yeah.
All those in favor of adopting the consent calendar, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The consent calendar is adopted. This moves us to the public hearing phase of tonight's meeting. Madam City Clerk, item 28A.
It is an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances to modify no parking restrictions on Church Street between Bradley and Rumford Streets.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager.
Your Honor, members of the council, this item was discussed by the parking committee at the request of Ms. Hannah Whitmer, I think I'm saying that right, on February 23rd. Ms. Whitmer requested the city add no parking this side signs on the portion of Church Street from at least Jackson Street to Linden Street, like has been done on the lower part of Church Street. Church Street currently has parking restricted on one side from North State to Bradley and from Bradley to Jackson Street. Additionally, following the narrow street study, the section from Bradley to Jackson also prohibits parking on both sides from January through March. Staff reviewed the request with the parking committee, and the committee voted to direct staff to complete the attached ordinance, which you have, which would amend the current restriction of no parking on the north side of the road from Bradley Street to Jackson Street, extending the no parking on the north side of the road to extend past Jackson Street all the way to Rumford Street. The parking committee opted not to include a seasonal parking restriction, as this section of Church Street is one of the only areas in the vicinity that allows off-street parking during winter months. Be glad to answer your questions.
Thank you. Any questions for the city manager? All right, seeing none, I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to testify on item 28A?
Do I just talk here?
No, you come up here. We ask you to identify yourself and speak into the microphone.
Does it matter which one?
No, not at all.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
My name is Chrissy Ferrara. I live at 54 Church Street. It's a 4-family residence. I own it. I also live in it. And this parking restriction would place very limited parking for my house. So I request that this not go forward. the other side of the street between Rumford and, what is it, Bradley?
Yeah, I've had that.
There are two houses. I'm on the north side of the street, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4 houses from Rumford on, and then going forward, there are a number of rental houses on that block too that need the parking. So what I would suggest is looking at making that street a one-way. I think that going all the way down to North State, you know, it's clearly one side of the street parking, but people have to move over and wait and stop if someone's coming down and has the right of way, which I do often, and I'm fine with that. But if you would look at it from a perspective of that should probably be a one-way because it is quite narrow. I think that would be something worth looking at and studying that before you create more of a ban on the street, because especially where I am located at the top of the hill is quite steep, and there is visibility issues going up the road. You can't always see who's coming down, so it would be better if it was probably a one-way going down the street, but I leave it to the experts of City Council planning to look at that.
So when you say down the street, you mean?
Towards North
To
State.
the east, down towards
Yeah.
North State Street. All right.
And it's not that busy a street in terms of traffic, but there are parking spots that get used. I have three spots in my house that I use constantly. And I do have a driveway, and those are used too. So, you know, everybody has a car, or they have 2 cars, or they have a work car. I cannot have a work vehicle in my driveway, so one of my tenants has a work vehicle that parks on the street. The other side of the street are only 2 houses on that street, like I said, so I don't know if maybe looking at that side of the street and with those, I don't know if any of my neighbors are here. I don't see them. But I would ask that you consider some of the ramifications of the no parking on that side and maybe look into one-way direction.
Thanks. Any questions for Ms. Farrar? Yes.
How many units do you have in your house, and how many parking spaces in your driveway?
I have 4 parking spaces in my driveway.
And I'm sorry, follow up.
Follow up.
How many? And you said you use 3 of the spaces on this, or 3
There are
spaces
4
are
spaces.
used?
There are 3 in the front of the house and 4 in the driveway.
Okay. But on the street parking, this ban would impact,
That side of the street that I use.
and you use 4 spaces on the street?
3.
3, okay.
That my house is a large. It's like almost an acre of property there. So that's they're all parked in front of my house up to where they can park and be legally away from the hydrant and to my. There's a hydrant right on that corner, so there's only room for about 3 cars.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Farrar? Excuse me, hearing none. Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming in. Would anyone else like to testify on item 28A?
May I read a communication that I received from a constituent this afternoon? I don't see him in the audience. He just wanted me to read his communication because I only received it this afternoon.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Sure. Thank you. Ms. Farrar.
My biggest issue with eliminating parking on the north side of Church Street is taking parking away from tenants in several multifamily homes who rely on street parking. Thank you for listening.
Could you identify the constituent?
Alex Doyle from Alex Doyle.
Oh, it's Alex? Okay. Thank you. All right. Any other testimony?
I know there's some people on their way.
Well, the meeting started at 7. All right, thank you. All right, that's it. I'm going to close the hearing on item 28A with regard to my neighbors on Church Street. And that brings us to item 28B. Madam City Clerk.
It's an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances for fees, fines, and penalties, together with non-ordinance fees.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager.
Now, members of the council, annually each city department revises and recommends fee increases or decreases based on inflation, market conditions, or budget changes. While non-ordinance fees do not require public hearing, we include them within this process so people can get all the information. Both ordinance and non-ordinance fee-based increase recommendations are for items that propose increases due to market conditions or other factors. All other items that are at market rate or not in need of an increase will remain at current levels or be decreased, I should add. The critical aspect of the process is to maintain reasonable fees and charges that are adequate to support delivery of city services. And you have attachments with that information on there. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for the city manager? Councilor Brown.
Yes, I just noticed that, wondering the columbarium niche, we're eliminating that fee, or it's being drastically reduced, but it was higher in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering why we're dropping it so significantly.
Demand.
The demand?
Yeah.
I don't understand. So wouldn't we want to increase it if the demand is high?
No, the demand is low.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we could maintain it at that level.
Okay.
If-
I wanted to follow.
Sure.
Yeah. I do
Yeah.
have one
Yeah.
more question.
Sure, follow.
Yes, and this is on the second to last page in the document. It looked like the fees for residents was increasing steeper than non-resident rates. And I'm looking at the citywide community center. The non-resident rate is not increasing, but the resident rate is, or for the, yeah, so I'm wondering, and there were different rates between non-residents and residents.
This is for the community center.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you are seeing 36 and 35, right?
I'm just looking at the percentages. It just looks like percentages are changing and are steeper for residents than they are for non-residents.
At what line? Because we
Well,
have
there's
like,
no, it's not, the lines aren't
I
numbered. I'm
see
looking
it
at
as well
Parks
for
and Rec.
exercise rooms and meeting rooms.
Yes.
Exercise
okay.
rooms and meeting rooms. Okay.
Could I ask David Gill to
Sure.
come up?
Mr. Gill, please join us.
And the auditorium as well.
2.86 and 6. There's multiple.
Yeah, yeah.
Welcome, Mr. Gill.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. It should be, non-resident should be a flat $20 more an hour than the resident rate. So if there's, like, the program rooms, like 12 font here, I apologize. If it goes up to $16 for resident, then it would go to $36 for non-resident.
Follow up.
Yes, so you just, your rationale was just to make an even number, but in doing so, the result is non-residents are having a steeper increase than non-residents, or the residents are having a steeper increase.
Yeah, we just carried over the standard $20 more an hour.
Okay, I just was wondering why that happened. Thank you for explaining.
Any other questions for Mr. Gill while he's here? All right, thank you, Mr. Gill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the city manager? All right, I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to testify? Mr. Schweiker.
Good evening, mayors, members of the City Council, City Manager, City Clerk. I'm Roy Schweiker, and I find this document to be carelessly put together. And I would even go so far as to say it is unacceptable that we should be submitting documents like this. I would like you to look at items 2 to 4 on page 3 with the recommended fees. And if you compare the columns as to what this fee is for and who it's charged to, they don't match at all. And I was unable to print one out today, but maybe someone that has it could read them for me. See what I'm saying?
No.
No.
You said 2 and 4?
On page 3,
General services?
items 2 to 4,
Yeah.
it has to do with, well, somewhere it says this has to do with septic fees for other towns, and someplace else it says it has to do with backflow preventers. And I don't see that those are in any way related.
One
Those
is
three items.
residential irrigation backflow. The other one is backflow prevention device.
And why is that related to septic from other communities?
They both are.
Are you asking what the difference between fee description and fee name is?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't read the document.
Septic treatment for other towns, right? Right here.
Okay.
And that didn't seem to be, in any way related. And then if you go on
So are we
the third
treating
item, all
other
the way over to the right, you'll see the percentages calculated incorrectly. It says 0%, but you're increasing it by $1, and that's not zero. This is a spreadsheet. I'm not quite sure how a mistake like that could occur. But anyway, I consider it sloppy. And then on page 5, there's a whole list of things about infant graves. And it says it's down 100% because that fee's been eliminated. But in fact, they're now being charged a tomb fee, which is higher. So instead of being down 100%, it's actually going up. So as a minimum, you should say, you should not have minus 100%. You should, put NA or something, or maybe it's more correct to use the actual fee they'll be charged, but those fees are not going down 100%. They're going up. And I just feel like, we have some people who are being paid good money to get this right, and it should be correct, and it should be, something people can understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schweiker. Any questions for Mr. Schweiker? Okay, thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to testify on item 28B? All right, seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Madam City Clerk, item 28C.
It's an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, Title 4 Zoning Code, Chapter 28 Zoning Ordinance, by amending certain definitions included within the glossary, supplemental standards by amending Section 28.5 duplex or two-family dwellings.
Mr. City Manager.
Members of the council, so the definitions will be relocated to appear under dwelling in the glossary rather than a standalone definition elsewhere in the glossary. That's improved continuity with other definitions. So for ease for ordinance interpretation by not only staff but also the general public. It also modifies the definition of attached dwelling to clarify that attached units are multifamily buildings which contain 3 or more dwelling units. This will improve coordination with Article 28-4-5, which is the development of attached and multifamily dwellings, and eliminate definitional confusion regarding attached units vis-a-vis duplexes and two-family dwellings. Also, it further clarifies the definition by adding the term townhouse, which will improve continuity with other city ordinance and regulations. Going on, it modifies the definition of two-family dwelling and removes the concept of detached two-family units from the definition and adds language to distinguish two-family dwellings from properties with accessory dwelling units, and revise the supplemental standards set forth in Article 28-5-2 duplex two-family dwellings by removing requirements for duplexes to be located on lots that have 150% of the minimum lot area and 150% of the frontage area for those zoning districts. Presently, duplexes are permitted in 8 zoning districts. Coincidentally, accessory dwelling units are permitted in the same 8 districts as duplexes. In light of the city's recently adopted accessory dwelling unit ordinance, this permits large accessory units, 950 to 1,250 square feet. It does not require the owner of occupancy of any of the units and does not require extra lot area or frontage standards beyond the minimum requirements in said districts. It is the opinion of staff that the continuing to require extra lot area and frontage requirements for duplex is not appropriate. As such, the attached amendment eliminates the 150% lot area and frontage requirements for duplexes. I should note that the Economic Development Advisory Committee and the Planning Board both recommended this change.
Thank you. Any questions for the city manager? All right, seeing none, I'll open up the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to testify on item 28C? Yes, sir. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My name is Chris Carley, and most of you probably know that I am a member of the Zoning Board of Adjustment, have been for some time. I should preface my remarks by letting you know that I do not speak for the board this evening. I speak exclusively for myself. And I'm not sure what the protocol is in terms of the various items, but you have 3 or 4 items on your agenda tonight, all of which bear on modifications to the zoning ordinance, and with your indulgence, I'll cover my remarks once. Okay. My general recommendation is that you adopt the changes that staff have recommended in this case, in all of these. And the reason for that is that, in general, anything that simplifies the zoning ordinance and makes it clearer and reduces the number of for lack of a better term, nuisance requirements that inhibit development, particularly development of residential properties in the city, will receive my endorsement anytime. One of the problems with attempting to manipulate design of the city in detail with the zoning ordinance is that whenever anybody needs to make an adjustment in order to move forward with a project, they have to come to the Zoning Board of Adjustment. And the Zoning Board of Adjustment has 5 fairly narrow criteria for granting a variance. And in this case, I want to talk about variances because special exceptions are really not the issue in most cases. But in the case of a variance, we have to get into a lot of detail and essentially make a legal decision. We're a quasi-judicial board that what the person is asking is reasonable. And it may be that for various technical reasons, it's very difficult to do that for the board. However, what they're asking for is a perfectly reasonable use of their property and should be addressed, in my opinion, and again, I am not speaking for the rest of the board, elsewhere other than in the zoning ordinance. So, for example, you do have in one of your proposals a recommendation for moving some of the considerations that might come before the board into a consideration for a CUP or conditional use permit by the planning board. To me, that makes a lot more sense for a lot of the things that wind up before the zoning board, and I generally endorse that as a way of moving forward for the council, because the planning board has more flexibility. They don't have to treat it as a quasi-judicial decision. It's simply a planning board recommendation to an applicant, and they can negotiate with the various people who are involved to get the best solution for everybody. The zoning board does not really have that authority or that ability. And that's why I suggest that you go ahead and adopt the changes that you've seen in here, or that you see in here this evening, and I'd be happy to answer any questions or fill in any detail that I can.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Carley? Seeing none.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carley.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else who would like to testify on item 28C? Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Craig Tufts. I live on Spruce Street. So I just wanted to say that I generally agree with what this change is trying to do, and I agree with the previous testimony we just heard. But I did have one concern that just came to light because of something that came up on our street. Where we have a lot that isn't quite big enough for a duplex. The frontage isn't big enough for a duplex. And in my opinion, you should be able to put a 2-family home there. But the issue is that the proposal that the developer seems to be pushing forward with, based on what went to the ZBA and what is on the website, doesn't fit. So I think my point is that if you're going to make this change so that you can put a duplex on lots this size for new construction, I mean, existing homes I think is fine, but for new construction, there needs to be some sort of design standards to go along with it. Just to quickly describe what the development would be, it's a side-by-side duplex. It's about 60 feet wide. The widest building on our street is about 40 feet, and it's huge. It's been there for a very long time. There are other 2-family homes that are 30 feet and 20 feet wide. Every other home is about 20 feet wide. So It's very different. You know, there's two double-wide garage doors with the parking lot, the driveway in front of the building. There aren't any driveway parked garages facing the street, on our street. They're all in the back. That's the way it always was done, the driveways to the side. So I don't want to get into too much into the details, but I think the point is that there needs to be, I would like to see some sort of design standard to make sure that it matches what's in the existing neighborhood. I'm all for more housing. I think this lot can support 2 or more units, but I really would like a little bit more, you know, prescriptive specificity, you know, getting a little bit higher end, I don't know, getting a little fancy. I know several years ago there was a form-based code. I followed that. It was being proposed. I followed that pretty closely. I really liked the direction where that was going. I know that's not a short-term fix, but I'd like to see a little bit of work put into, you know, trying to address that. So I think, you know, density done well, you're going to get all the benefits of density. We need the housing, but if it's done poorly or not thoughtfully, you're going to get backlash to this development. And on my street, there's a lot of people in my neighborhood that are pretty disappointed and pretty upset. I wish you had more details of what I might propose, but I think I'd really like you to consider that. Otherwise, I'm generally supportive of the changes that have been made to the zoning ordinance.
Any questions from Mr. Tufts? Councilor Brown.
What language would you recommend? What do you think would be, if we were to pass this and amend it with language to address what you're talking about, what?
I'm not that into the weeds. I think there are other people that are. I've heard things about like a build-to line. There's things about, you know, the mass of the building and where on the lot that it should be. I think it might putting some heads together, you could come up with some things that might work, but I can't answer that right now. Sorry.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Tufts? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to testify on item 28C? Yeah, Mr. Schweiker. Welcome back.
Hello again, everyone. My major concern is I think you should use the opportunity of refining the definitions to reverse a change that's been made. And that has to do with the accessory dwelling units. Right now, essentially, the city is treating them one and the same as a duplex. And I don't think that's appropriate. I think that the accessory dwelling units, you know, had certain features because supposedly the owner was supposed to live on site. And because of that, you might assume that they would be reasonable, you know, that you wouldn't build something that was offensive to the neighborhood because you had to live there. And, you know, similarly with, you know, this is, you know, I have to live there, so I'm not going to build something awful. I'm not going to build a unit that doesn't work, but for peculiar reasons, the city decided to remove that requirement. And I think that's a mistake. I think you should go back to what it says in the state law that you can require the owner to live on site. I know there are certain, you know, conditions like if the owner dies, then the buyer essentially has got to live there. And I think that's good. I mean, you're complaining about housing is too expensive. One way to reduce the price in some ways is if you make the owner of an ADU live on site. That means that slumlords are not going to buy up 5 or 10 places, put in ADUs that are unacceptable to the neighborhood because they don't have to deal with it because they can't do that. They've got to live within one of those units. So I think that's very important to revert that back, that for an ADU, the owner's got to live there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mrs. Schweiker? Thank you, Mr. Schweiker. Would anyone else like to testify on item 28C? Yes. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Christopher Carr. I live on 18 Spruce Street in Concord. I don't really like the direction that this is going. My house was built in early 1900s and was duplex probably in the 20s or 30s. It's on a 7,700 square foot lot, which is extremely small for that. And I love it, it's great, but it's tiny. It really doesn't fit in the space that I have. And like previous people have said, we have an issue because we have an empty lot that has been subdivided, that a developer wants to build a duplex on, and it's not quite big enough. And the problem is there's other buildings that were built 20s, 30s, 40s that were duplexed when there were no zoning. So it was okay. Everybody just did it. None of the lots on my street qualify for a duplex. And there happens to be 4. It's a nice community with a lot of single-family homes. And it would be a real tragedy if this was passed. And then developers buy up these lots and bulldoze 100-year-old nice family homes to put up giant duplexes that barely fit, that meet the minimum requirements. So you have 5 feet from this house, 5 feet from that house, and you just have buildings on buildings on buildings, and no community. None. It's just concrete, asphalt, and buildings. We all have yards. We have families. We have children. We have pets. And now you want to pass an ordinance that's going to make it look like downtown Manchester? You guys spent millions to redo Main Street to make it look like a community. And you're going to take the downtown district, my home, my community, and turn it into something that's not a community. Allow developers to just do whatever they want and just build whatever they want. And the only people that protect us is him, the zoning board. They're the only people that protect us. The planning board just puts everything in line. They get everything in place and just say, just get this variance and you're good to go. He's the only one. Him and those members protect my community. They protect me. They hear my voice and they let me know that they care. Because I care. I don't want my community to disappear. Accessory dwelling units are fine. If you have a 100-year-old house and you need an in-law apartment for your old family member, that's fine. You're adding to a building that has been there for 100 years. I don't have a problem with that. That's just that's just part of life. Sometimes you have to take care of people, and sometimes you need more space. And I understand that, because some of my neighbors have small houses on bigger lots than mine. And I just don't think it's a good idea. I think it will destroy communities in the downtown. I think it will allow developers to buy up land, bulldoze houses that have been there for 120 years to put up the biggest building they could possibly fit in the smallest lot, just to make money, not to build a community, just to make money. And I don't like it, and I don't think it's right. I think variances for duplexes is very important, because there's a lot of lots in this city that are not big. They're not big lots. Some of them, if you go up to the Heights and you go further out, they get bigger. In the downtown district, they're very small. I don't want to see it to get smaller. I don't want to see less green, less yards, less children, more asphalt, more concrete, more buildings. That's not what I want to see. Our city is beautiful. Our downtown district is beautiful. I don't want that ruined. And I think eliminating the need for variances for duplexes is a terrible idea. And I think it's bad for Concord, especially the downtown district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. Any questions for Mr. Carr? Councilor Brown.
How do you feel about adopting the state law? Or if the owner is required to live there?
That's accessory dwelling units, I think is fine.
Okay.
If people live in the community, they care about it.
Right, I agree.
That's different than a duplex.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carr.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else would like to testify on item 28C? Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
See you.
I'm going to basically do this just out of notes, if you
Sure,
don't mind, because
sure.
I had some thoughts.
Please just identify yourself.
My name is
City.
Valerie Murphy, and I'm here speaking on behalf of the folks on Spruce Street as well. One of the things I wanted to say is we're here and we're speaking to one another in a northeastern vernacular, correct? We're all, we all know what wicked means, and we all have a vernacular. And we can make those, we can exchange those. We're not saying bless your heart, that's a southern thing. Okay? There's a pattern language and a vernacular to the neighborhoods here in Concord. And we all recognize that as we travel through these neighborhoods. We know what that vernacular is. We know what that language is. We see it. That vernacular refers to that recurring, that locally rooted design, the way things were built for a reason. Some of the things that are important about that is it builds social structures and it defines character. When we look at downtown, it defines a character. You have those beautiful lights that were all built to match, and we made it so that it's very walkable, not just for people who can walk, but for people who can't. There's been a lot of attention paid to the community and the downtown. This is a downtown residential neighborhood. I kind of laugh about that because it's really not downtown so much. But when reading through the changes to the zoning ordinances, it raised a concern for me that if you remove limits to buildings or building and zoning, particularly in reference to the established historic neighborhoods of Concord, you disrupt that pattern. We introduce a muteness rather than a conversation. If you're in those neighborhoods, the Spruce, Dakin, Badger, people are walking. There's children playing in front yards and side yards. There's gardens, beautiful gardens. People's front yards are taken care of. Parking in those areas are down the side. Maybe you have some on-street parking. Garages are set way back into the back of the lot, where kids can then, bounce a ball against the wall of their garage and it goes in the grass. Wonderful things. Those are the standards that should be established for traditional neighborhoods in Concord. If you want to build a mansion duplex with giant garage doors, we have plenty of neighborhoods. All the newly designed neighborhoods, they're pop-up communities that look just like that. That's not what fits. That doesn't fit. It's like putting on the wrong size of shoes. You're not going to walk around in that comfortably. I'd like to say that, in established neighborhoods here in Concord, all the front doors face the street, right? Porches face the street. People are in communication with one another, or they're walking, they're visiting, they're saying hey to their neighbor across the street. You don't have a garage and 40-foot wide driveways that go 20 feet this way. They're also built to the build line. Most of them are 10 feet in from the easement. They're right there. They're not set way back off the street for the most part, which again fosters that community, that sense of community. Again, parking in those homes goes to the back, and it's not just where you park your car. It's how you communicate with one another, and that's what those neighborhoods were set to do. I'd like to see. I like seeing people tending their gardens in their front yards. I like seeing, maybe a little gravel driveway up the side, and maybe, somebody's puttering in their garage in the back. It's not just designed to park 2 cars and then 2 cars in front of that and 2 cars in front of that, and everything is concrete and heat. What I'd like this council to do is encourage the planning board to respect and maintain that living language, that speech that happens. I understand, and we all understand, that housing is a huge need in our nation, in our urban areas, in our state, in Concord in particular. But the standard that should be established for neighborhoods, there should be a zoning standard for neighborhoods. And it should be required to maintain the vernacular of the language that creates these vibrant communities that are what Concord is. Concord is not Nashua. Concord is not Manchester. Concord is Concord for a reason. And it fosters a vibrancy and a communication that so many people are here tonight to bring to the fore about these ordinances. So that's pretty much what I had to say, and I appreciate you listening to me. Thank you so much.
We appreciate you coming up and testifying. There's a term that's used a lot these days in the conversations around housing need, the missing middle, and I think you probably have heard of that. And my understanding is that these changes are an attempt to provide that missing middle housing, the duplexes that, where you can be owner occupant.
Sure.
A lot of people who I know who came into the city when I came here 40 years ago, that's how they got into housing. By buying a duplex, renting out the other half, helping to pay off their mortgage. How do you see us achieving that without making zoning changes that make these more attractive to builders?
I think, I'm a landlord. I own 10 properties. And of those properties, the one that I own that's a single family is mine. I inherited most of them, my sister and I, from our dad, who used to, he spent half of his life up here in Concord. He's an attorney. Worked for Senator Durkin, helped write the insurance laws. We've been in these communities. And my dad grew up in a duplex. His first house that we ever lived in was a two-family. And I think two families are phenomenal, and duplexes are phenomenal. But they don't have to be designed in such a way that they harm the inherent fabric of the neighborhood, if that makes sense. It shouldn't be an intrusion to create homes. We want homes, but we don't want houses, we want homes. I can build any house. I can build something, in the plan, looks like something that really belongs more in probably downtown Albuquerque or, Utah, faceless, meaningless kind of builds that don't foster that community. So I think when you're looking into design and neighborhoods and duplexes, that there has to be a feel for the neighborhood. You have to go out, look at the neighborhood, the zoning board, the planning board, go look at the neighborhood. What does the neighborhood look like? What are you proposing? Are you proposing something that looks like, I don't know, I'm sure everybody's seen it, the Obama obelisk at this point, the new presidential library. Is that going to fit in a neighborhood in Concord? No. Is a house that has set 30 feet back with 20-foot garage doors on either side, and now you're taking over an entire lot. If you've never seen it, I encourage you to go. It's a beautiful green space with beautiful homes. Go down Spruce Street and see this neighborhood at any time of the day when you see the people walking. You have to look at the structures, and this comes from a very passionate place of mine, and also my dad's. My dad built properties on double lots. He bought a property that had a double lot, and it was an 1860 two-family. And he could have done any number of things on the second part of that lot. He built a house that looked just like the one next to it, because it's the vernacular of the neighborhood. It looks like that. The parking goes up and it sets behind. This is in Manchester, 340 and 350 Bartlett Street. Yes, the structures are going to look a little different now, because we don't have the craftsmen that are building shutters by hand, and we don't have the Victorians being built. We can't afford to do that anymore. Well, some people can, we can't. But those are the things that make a neighborhood stay a neighborhood. If that makes any sense.
It makes a lot of sense. In fact, you may be surprised, or you may not, or would you believe that I agree with a lot of what you're saying about the vernacular of a neighborhood. At the same time, we hear a lot about how Concord doesn't have development, doesn't have tax base expansion, doesn't have housing, because we're difficult to do business with. And certainly I think that zoning changes like this, as we've heard from Mr. Carley, and through the recommendations of both the zoning board and the planning board, has been to make us more development friendly, so that we can have more housing, so that hopefully the cost of rents will go down because there are more options for people. So the cost of buying a home will go down because there are more options for people. So, how do you feel we reach that goal if we, because I don't know what it costs to build a house similar to what you live in your neighborhood versus what's being proposed.
Sure. So looking at it from even my dad's perspective, because he used to design his own houses, and we had an architect who was a friend who would do all the rest of it. For us, it was you need 2 families to live someplace, 100%. You need 3 families to live someplace, right? 100%. But it doesn't have to. You can make that structure fit, and that's probably the better way to do it. I've looked at Concord for years, and I've said this for years, there's so many empty spaces in Concord that were state buildings that really the city of Concord should take over and turn into housing. And just,
it kind of works the other way around. They take over our buildings.
Right, which is not okay. And yes, it's sort of like being DC, right? It's the seat of power, and things are going to happen. But you look at how much of business is built in it. So I'm looking at, if I think about it, the place up by the movie theater that they just tore the house down, and it's got all the IBC totes and the barrels and the whatever. And then you have the movie theater. I mean, those are all commercial areas, but they also back up to areas that are neighboring or neighborhooding. You could reconvert those. Why don't we look at it that way? You now have a business area. Now you're moving your business. And you have a mall that's failed. It's a failed mall. You have a place for housing right there. So when you look at your historic neighborhoods, put I guess protections on established neighborhoods to remain in their vernacular, in their pattern language. There's a great book called The Pattern Language.
I have it.
Yeah, and it's fantastic. I did my thesis on sustainable communities and housing, so I'm very passionate about it. But also making places that fit. So you have, say, you look at the mall, right? That the failed mall. Rather than that becomes another business place. It gets raised, but what does it become? It becomes a community. All the concrete goes away. It becomes grasslands. But what do we have there? We already have an infrastructure we can have a little cafe here. We can build houses around here. We can, you can build an entire neighborhood right there. And so you're gaining your tax base. You're gaining your housing. And if it's done correctly, you can gain a lot more housing in that area. It doesn't have to be high-rises. Manchester is making me crazy with Brady Sullivan right now. Knock everything down and put up a box. Like, it doesn't have to be a box. Why does everything have to be a box with primary colors on it? So those are the things that, for Concord, I think, in particular for Concord, because it just has, you have a vibe, right? Concord has a vibe. So you don't want to lose the vibe. You need to look at it from a perspective of zoning and planning. Have to work together, but they have to work together with a synergy that keeps the vibe alive.
I think we have some other questions for you around the table. I saw Councilor Kurtz.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much for your testimony. Sure. I'm trying to determine the relationship between the ordinance proposed in front of us and the project that you and many of your neighbors have spoken about, and what specifically in this ordinance, like I understand the concerns about the project. I believe you've articulated them well. It's the lot area and frontage requirements that are the concern within this ordinance. That is, am I understanding correctly that the proposed building fills more of the space than the neighborhood feels is desirable? Is that correct?
Right. And it's not even that the neighborhood feels, it just, like, if you see what they have there, it's, like I said, it's like putting on the wrong shoe. Putting your left shoe on your right foot and then going for a walk forever. And it is forever. Once it's there, it's forever. And that changes the fabric of a neighborhood. You put a hole in your jeans, you put a patch on it, they're never the same jeans again.
Follow-up?
Follow-up.
Are there other parts of the ordinance that raise concerns for you in regards to the pattern language, which is also a concept I'm familiar with?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's almost, it becomes so sterile. Like, that ordinance removes, it becomes one large blanket over everything, as opposed to, we need a handkerchief here. and we need a big blanket over here. You know, you can't do one size fits all. One size never fits all. You need to have some specifics to it.
Thank you, that's helpful to me.
Other questions? Councilor Secco.
Thank you for your testimony today, and thank you also for implementing some curiosity in our minds, because I really like the part that you are describing when it comes to design and what we have in front of us. And please, I don't know, it's Matt who will speak to this or what. The word certain, I think is said certain supplement standards. And when you talk about the design, we are not taking the authority, my understanding, from ZBA here to say, no, developer, you come, you do whatever you want. And I think the word certain was picked so that it will give them that flexibility to make sure that they go through the process. It's not a blanket, and this is my understanding. So I want to ask you, when you read this ordinance, do you see that what I described, the flexibility, to go back to what your honor said, and then of course the design, because this ordinance is not talking about the design. And I totally agree with you that I argued here with EDAC, Concord is Concord. We cannot compare Concord to Bedford or to any community. And I would love to hear what your thought is on this specific ordinance, not the project that you see in your neighborhood, but what we have in front of us.
I think that it becomes, the ordinance it moves you towards a homogeneity that doesn't fit. And that's going to my blanket again. If you're looking at an ordinance, I think the ordinance needs to take into account the location of where you're at. You know, if I'm sitting at the beach and I have my feet in the sand and I'm looking at the ocean, I'm not wearing a parka. You know, you need to make it fit. And I look at this ordinance and I look at it as saying, you know, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. We need housing, so we're just gonna do this. You know, we're gonna take away any of these limits, or the things that we're gonna take away ration for a reason. You know, and ration and reason go together. You know, we need housing, so we're not gonna be rational about it. We're just gonna do this. We're gonna get rid of all of this, and just solve for that. It's not always X and Y. The world is not always straight lines. It actually kind of goes like this. And I think that this ordinance takes away this. It takes away the inputs of everything around it. Looking at only this person and this person and this person are my abutters. Well, what about the person behind me? And what about the people next door? You know, because you're changing it to a state, and the state is the state. The state's not going to make rules for everybody because they're going to leave it to the communities. But if you give yourself up to the state, you've now lost yourself. You've lost your identity. And that's kind of what that ordinance looks like to me.
Your Honor, I have a follow-up.
Follow-up?
Please, because I am still struggling with that flexibility aspect of it. We are not giving up the authority here, and this is my understanding. And I don't know who can explain that better, that wrote this ordinance, because based on what I'm seeing now, and the concern you raise, I don't see concern there, because it still come to ZBA, still come to follow the process, and they will determine without even the design. And that's what I'm looking at here.
And that would be my concern, would be give me the design. In particular, this one. So the last hearing that was had, the argument was made by the planning board, just wait, we've already got the rules in place, and then we're done. We don't have to talk about this anymore. Literally, that was what was said, and you can go back and watch the meeting. The rules, you don't have to consider this by these rules, consider it by those rules. Well, what does that mean? That means the neighborhood who just expressed their wants, needs, and desires, the comment was made at the end of that meeting, don't consider it under these rules. We have new rules, and they're already on paper, which means they're basically already approved. I found that hideous. I found that really hideous to hear that. It was inappropriate, and it's wrong. There are no rules that are to be decided upon because we put it on paper someplace else for another hearing. The hearing that was there that night was the hearing that was there that night. If that's the attitude of a planning board, then that's a planning board that decides it's going to plan to overrun your zoning board without a problem. And that's a problem to me. So if you're removing zoning, part of zoning and some of the rules that are there for zoning are there for the exact purpose of common language. We have the APA. We have, when we write a book, we have a set of standards and rules we have to follow. And that's what zoning really is. It's the MLS. Like, I'm going to write a story, I'm going to write a paper for my professor, and I have certain things that I need to follow because there's a way and a style and a way about it. It's that vernacular, it's that pattern language. And that's where I see this ordinance changing, failing. It disempowers, I think, in a lot of ways, the zoning board, and it moves towards something that is sterile. Like neo-brutalist, you know, it's just, it loses. I don't think it's going to do what you think it's going to do if you look at it in the long term. If you look at, look at Manchester, look at Nashua. There were a lot of zoning things that got lifted and then everything went to heck in a handbasket. There are some places in Manchester you don't want to drive through. It's getting to be like Roxbury. But what happened was they took down things. They put up these big boxes, because housing. But it's not always just housing. Housing is one thing, community is another, and they need to go together. You need to have, neighborhoods are small villages. They really are. And in ordinance, the ordinances need to recognize that and look at it more from that perspective. For the health of the community, for the health of the city, for the health of the residents. And on top of that, there's the pocketbook side of it. Because now you're looking at, if you're going to lift all ordinances, you're going to take this away, you're going to take this away, there's not going to be, are you going to have a bunch of little spite houses next to each other? I hate my neighbor, and I don't really have any zoning on that part, so I'm going to put up an 8-foot wide by 45-foot high house, make it a triplex, and I'm going to move people in. And we don't have the zoning for that. We can't fix that now. Does that make more sense? That's sort of my concern. That's my worry about where this is going. But more so, it came up that sort of that anger and frustration place of that last meeting. And that, because that kind of attitude is what takes a city down.
Any other questions for Ms. Murphy? I'm sorry, Councilor
Oh,
Tierney.
yes. Thank you so much, Ms. Murphy. And there were a number of people here from Spruce Street who spoke, so thank you to all of you. I have a question. So you mentioned, the concern for the fabric of a neighborhood, and my first question just, I live on South State and Concord Street, so close to the south end. I don't live, near Spruce Street. Is it a lot of single-family homes, or are there duplexes?
So
I'm trying to picture it.
It's funny because people refer to a lot of things as duplexes, but they're two families, up and downs, or they're duplexes that are up and downs. So a lot of Victorian homes, if you look at them, you'll see my French is coming side by each doors. So you have a door here and a door here, and the building goes up 2 stories. So yes, it's a duplex, but it looks like this. It's the vernacular language of the neighborhood. Most people look in the duplex that they have, and what duplex is today is, and that's it. The duplexes we're talking about are this. They're side by each, but they're doing this. So they're not taking up all this extra space, if that makes any sense whatsoever. It's not a good design there. I wish I had blocks. I would do better with blocks.
Sure, quick follow-up. Yeah, so you talked about the vibe, and the South End really is a very, very special area. And when you talk about the, concern for the fabric and the sense of community, do you think you're speaking to maybe your area specifically, or would you say that your feeling applies to Concord as a whole?
Concord as a whole.
Okay.
It's, and I would say the same, about a lot of our cities in New Hampshire, but Concord as a whole, and I think I'd love to see Concord put the same self-awareness and pride in history to new development that it did to downtown, or that you see in the South End, and creating, it's an incredibly diverse community. And it really can engender that in new development, not necessarily in the neighborhoods that are here, yes, and that is on the table, because there's a heart piece there, right? But if you're looking at other parts of Concord, the ordinances and the zoning, really looking at creating what's already there. You can repeat the South End in a lot of places in Concord that are open land. You absolutely can. And that will come down to planning and zoning and reviewing what housing needs, what people's housing needs are, 100%. Can you create that South End neighborhood in the parking lot up at the failed mall? You 100% can. You 100% can. You can tear up all that concrete. You can put in classic New England style homes, side by sides, up and downs. You can put in the lawns. You can put in the walks. You can put in the little corner store right there. You can hide that whole thing from Loudon Road with trees. There's a lot that can be done there. There's a lot of open space that can be done too. It doesn't always have to be a sprawl. And sprawl is fine. We have plenty of it. You look at Bedford. Bedford, you're either in a really expensive house, or you're in a developed community on open land, and they all look exactly the same. Garage, garage, house, house. Nobody's playing anywhere because we're just tending our lawn, our 15 feet of lawn, and we're in our house. Because we go in our garage and we go in our door, in our garage, and we never come out, and we don't see each other. So, those designs have a place, 100%. Absolutely, we got to do housing. But can we do it better? And I think Concord can do it better.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. Would anyone else like to testify on item 28C?
I think there's like 3 planners that live, on Spruce Street.
Welcome. Long time no see.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Heather Shank.
No.
I just want to say I deeply appreciate your attention and sensitivity to the residents on this issue and their concerns. And I have some suggestions, which I think will be very simple and easy to implement and make everybody happy, hopefully. But first, before I do that, I kind of just want to put a face to, this is why everybody's so upset. So I'm just handing this out to you to give a little bit of a graphic of what the heck are we been talking about for the past hour. For those of you who do not know me, I've been a planner for 25 years. I've been a private planning consultant. I've worked in municipal planning for the city of Concord. I have worked as a regional planner, and I'm currently director of planning and community development for the state of New Hampshire. One of our offices of which are the Office of Planning and Development, which literally their job is training and education on planning and zoning and state statutes for all of the municipalities in the state. So I start with that to let you know that I know what I'm talking about with zoning. I've worked in 4 different states and on zoning ordinances almost that whole entire time that I've been in my professional career. I'm a nerd. I'm deeply passionate about zoning. So the pictures. The front picture that you're seeing here, and I'm sorry I couldn't get better pictures. I was trying to give you a sense of the vernacular that you've heard about, what the street looks like. These are what the homes on Spruce Street looks like, most of them. They're 24 feet or less. It's a house, a driveway, a house, a driveway, a house, a driveway. They're all at the building frontage. That's what our whole street lights. Even the duplexes are sort of, they just fit right in. The duplexes are, the largest duplex on our entire street is 40 feet in width. It looks enormous, but it fits because they have some big trees and we love them. The smallest duplex is 25 feet in width. That's just the base. That's what it looks like on our street. The second page is basically what is being proposed on our street and one of the vacant lots. So the top images are directly from the developer's website. These are the images. This is the building footprint that he put on his plans. This is what he's proposing. But you can't really get a perspective of what that is or what that looks like. So the bottom picture is actually what that looks like. This is a structure that is 65 feet in width. It's actually 5 feet wider than what the developer on our street is proposing. They're proposing a 60-foot wide. So what I'd like to draw your attention to is that you could fit 3 of our single-family homes in this one structure. They would go 1, 2, 3. And it's 50% larger than our largest duplex on the street. Also, most notably to me is it's set back about, this one looks like it's set back about 30 feet with these double-loaded garages. So the developer did propose in their zoning board application, this was the model that they supplied. It was 2 double-loaded garages in the front with these 40-foot or 20-foot curb cuts. However, he actually proposed this building set 40 feet back from the right-of-way, which if you consider the length of the driveway being 10 feet, it was actually 50 feet back. So 50 feet back, 20-foot wide curb cuts, the entire front yard, you could fit 8 cars in that front yard. So all of the other houses which are proposed along the street edge, would, and then 8 cars in front of this house. So you can understand why the neighborhood is upset. And I deeply appreciate your concern to all of their frustration. Now, the solution. I first would like to say I'm so proud of Concord. My office also runs Housing Champions, which was awarded to the city of Concord for their efforts in housing. We are very passionate at the state about housing, and we want to encourage housing everywhere that we can. Everything I read in detail, the amendments that were proposed tonight, all of them, and they're all actually excellent. The only one that's a problem is this one, and that's because of the only lots that this would really affect in a negative way are in the RN, neighborhood residential, and RD, downtown residential districts. RN and RD is basically White Park to Rollins Park and the high school to Main Street, okay? All of the residential development that is strictly residential in those urban traditional neighborhoods is in the RN and the RD districts, okay? You guys already allow, or maybe you didn't, but now with this change you do, but conversions from single family to duplexes in 3 units without increasing the lot frontage or lot area. Yay, Concord, Housing Champion, good job. Now you're trying to change it so that you can do a duplex on a single family lot, right? So you already allow conversions. So think of all of those neighborhoods that have single family homes. Every single one of them can convert to a duplex under, if that's what you want. I think they can do it by right. I don't know. When I was here, you had to put it on 1.5 times, but I'm not sure staff is interpreting that way anymore, which is why I'm saying I think you already can do it that way, because I think they stopped interpreting that way a little while ago. So that means that this 1.5 times frontage and 1.5 times lot area only will affect, in the RN and RD districts, vacant lots. Now think about from White Park to Rollins Park, from the high school to Main Street. How many vacant lots can you think of? Because I did a pretty extensive study of the city of Concord, and there ain't a whole lot. So this, my suggestion, so here's to my suggestions. 2 suggestions. For tonight, I suggest leaving in the 1.5 times lot frontage and 1.5 times area, but add the language for new development in the RN and RD districts, because that allows you to do these more intense duplexes where else you might want to do it. The RH district, the neighborhood commercial district, which actually is not a great idea, but you don't have to worry about it because there are no vacant lots there. The RM district. the RM district is where this is most appropriate, because you already have, like, think about this huge thing. Like, we have these kind of developments out there right next to the rural Concord area. You have these kinds of things. It's appropriate there. So this is a great idea for the RM district to allow them to do this type of development on vacant lots out there. Not so good for the RN and RD districts where you do not want this adjacent to your traditional single-family neighborhoods. Just an aside, I did an occupancy study of Concord, and you'd be surprised. Like, we have RN and RD, which allow all of this density, right? But actually, probably 90+% of Concord is single-family residential, right? Single-family residential in all of those areas. So there's quite a lot of capacity there. If you're going to allow every single one of those single-family residentials to convert to a duplex without increasing their lot size or frontage, you're basically doubling the population of downtown Concord. Again, yay Concord, good job. So I would suggest for now, immediately, you exempt those RN and RD districts, or not exempt everything but the RN and RD. So you say for new development, which again, automatically exempts any conversion, so no confusion there. New construction in RN and RD districts must still comply with this 1.5 times frontage and 1.5 times lot area. But that doesn't solve the problem, does it? Because Mr. Carley is absolutely right. We don't want to have people coming to the zoning board to get variances. So what's the solution? Well, the solution is, for one thing, you do not need front yard setbacks in the RN and RD district. They exist. The houses are there. You're not worried about that. What you do need is a build-to line. And Craig suggested this to you earlier. A build-to line is basically the inverse of a setback. It's the same thing from a legal and zoning perspective. They have build-to lines. More and more they're using them. A build-to line is specifically designed to protect the fabric of urban neighborhoods and traditional neighborhoods. It means you have to put your house at the build-to line. If you have a 10-foot setback, which is what there is in my whole neighborhood and much of the RD district, well, yeah, all of the RD district, I would take your table of dimensional standards, literally delete your front yard setbacks, go to your supplemental standards, 28.5, add a supplemental standard that says for RN and RD districts, you must comply with the build-to line of X. Staff can write the rest of it. But Chris Carley is absolutely right. We don't want people coming to the zoning board to get variances from this crazy thing. We never even heard of it before. Maybe there's a little adjustment. However, you can and should have a conditional use permit in addition to this that says with a conditional use permit, which sends you to the planning board, you can have an additional setback or an additional build-to, which maybe it's 15 feet, maybe it's 20 feet, whatever, provided that you are not going to put this on the lot. So conditional use permit, no zoning board, no design standards. Let's delete and eliminate the phrase design standards from our whole conversation. We don't need those. That's not what this is. This is a zoning tool that puts the house on the street where they are not going to be able to put a garage or any parking in front of. I've been talking a lot. Is there any questions so far? I just threw a whole lot at you. Yes. Oh, sorry, it's not my job.
No,
so,
it's not. Sometimes
I have to put my other hat on. You are not in charge here.
Sexton.
Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you, Ms. Rank. I heard some folks that didn't understand what RN and RD was. I didn't know if you wanted to explain that.
Yeah, so the RD district is the downtown residential district. It allows 14 units per acre. There's a 7,500 minimum lot size. It has 10-foot front yard setbacks, I believe 10-foot side yard setbacks, and 20-foot rear yard setbacks. The RN district, I don't know all the stats off the top of my head because I don't live there, but it's, I believe, 10 units per acre, so it's a little less. It's actually a little weird because the RN district does not actually allow multifamily development. However, in your table of conversions, it allows 3 units by right. So it's kind of a little weird, little conflict there. I guess it's okay. I don't mind. I think it's good. But the RN district is slightly less dense. I believe maybe 10,000 square foot lot minimums. I don't know those setbacks off the top of my head. It's just, was that too much information? Sorry.
Yes. Thank you.
I'll try to keep it more succinct.
Just for folks at home,
yep.
Could you give an example of an RD spot in the city and an RN spot in the city. For folks who like don't have the zoning map in their head,
Yeah.
but are trying to picture
I love that you
neighborhoods
think
to
that I do.
understand.
Well, you know, a lot of my time looking at the RN and RD districts were from the redesign of the Concord zoning map that I was in the process of proposing.
Right.
So off the top of my head, I can just tell you that I know for a fact, I mean, like I said, from White Park to Rollins Park, from the high school to downtown, that is basically both of those districts, all of that space. Now, if you're talking about closer in, you've got some different mixed-use districts in there on the downtown streets. You also have tiny little nuggets of neighborhood commercial, which are literally like, here's 6 lots, and it's mixed-use commercial. But really, all of that development that I'm talking about, and I'm just saying things that I think people understand, White Park to Rollins Park, and everything around there, and you know, the high school to downtown. Once you start getting past there, like what about the other side of the high school? That starts getting into, or Auburn Street, or all those areas. Those are single-family residential, and a lot of other areas of South End are single-family residential. So it's really just those neighborhoods.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Councilor Schultz.
I don't know that I understand most of what you said, but I do appreciate the map. Are you opposing that specific change for that entire, essentially 4 wards of neighborhoods?
For those 2 districts, the RN and RD, correct. I'm
about 4
suggesting
wards.
that you, for the time being, until staff can write a build to code, which I feel is pretty straightforward. You can do it very simply. If they got it together and took it to planning board, you could have it in a few months. I mean, I'm suggesting, and there's no other conflicts in the Concord zoning ordinance with this. Literally deleting the front yard setback, 0, adding a supplemental standard, it would be like 28.5, I don't know, 476, because we got so many supplemental standards, but it would be a supplemental standard, and it would just say you must require, for residential district in the RN and RD districts development, you need to comply with the build to line with the conditional use permit to allow flexibility.
Other questions? Councilor Sekou.
Thank you. When you were talking about the 2 districts, just to follow up based on what she said, you are not opposing the amendment, and you are not opposing what is proposed. You are proposing to amend it so that we give ourselves more room. I just want to clarify. Is
Yes,
that correct?
for now, immediately apply to RM and other districts, but not the RN and RD, which would still have these restrictions
Yes.
that they'd have to get variances for until you, I mean, really, I wish tonight we could just say, let's just create a build to line and it would go into immediate effect. Because I think that would solve all the problems, not just in my neighborhood, but I am talking about the entire downtown residential fabric.
It's not a question, but I really appreciate when you talked about the design, to take the design out of this.
Yeah, we don't need design standards.
Thank you.
I am not in favor of design standards. I never have been. You know, architectural design review has its place for commercial development, especially when there is no development existing, but that is not what I'm talking about here.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Councilor Schlosser.
Thank you. Thank you for testifying, and you're a neighbor of mine, so I live right across the street, right
I can
down
see
the
his house
block,
from my kitchen window.
from Spruce Street, so I appreciate the neighborhood and the testimony from the others. But just to be really precise, this 28C proposes to remove the minimum lot size standards for single family and duplex. And you're saying that we should preserve that for RN and RD, that
For new construction
for
in
new
the
construction.
RN and RD districts until you can
Wait,
really
wait,
fix the problem.
Let me,
Yep, sorry.
you've got a lot of information. I want to just keep it simple, so that the proposal is to strike out on page 2, 28-5-2, the minimum lot sizes, and it supports density, which we all support, and infill.
Correct.
And yet, to preserve some of the conformance with the neighborhood, you would say that should remain, that minimum lot size should remain for the RN, for new construction for RN and RD. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. I just want to, thank you.
Councilor Schultz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Given your professional expertise, I represent a district award that's not in the map you described. I think pretty much everyone on the council wants to have more construction, more housing, however we get there. Can you understand how that might sound to someone not from those neighborhoods? Because I feel like you would be most sensitive to this sort of political argument of a not in my backyard sort of way of thinking. That sounds like those sort of NIMBY arguments. How
Are you talking about people in your district opposing the proposal that is going before the council tonight?
No.
Or, I'm not clear on your question.
I guess what I'm trying to get to is a political, or not political in the party sense, in a policy discussion that is saying we want these changes that would allow construction in a broader way, in a more allowing these changes to happen in all the neighborhoods but these neighborhoods is essentially, sounds to me like the definition of what a not in my backyard is if you're in that neighborhood.
Well, the neighborhoods you're talking about that are outside of the downtown, they would not be negatively affected by this because they already have, they can have any type of development they want, right? So we're only trying to protect here the fabric of the urban neighborhoods that exist, right? So like, for instance, in my neighborhood, I know my neighborhood, so let's use it as an example. Like, no one on my street who lives there wants to live next to something like this. This is actually a question you asked earlier about, like, what's affordable? What can you do? What can builders do? Well, the newest new construction in my neighborhood, it's not on my street, but it's right around the corner, brand new spanking house, complete with foundation up. It looks exactly like all these other houses. So it is affordable. It is feasible from a fiscal perspective. But really, I guess it's the responsibility of zoning to protect the character of neighborhoods and the value of properties. So we're not saying we don't want duplexes, in these neighborhoods. They're saying they want something that's going to enhance their neighborhood, not damage their property values, and be in the same vernacular of the neighborhood. These types of codes are going in all over the country, all over our state. Multiple cities, Nashua, Manchester, Dover, Portsmouth, Keene, they're all developing codes that protect the integrity of the neighborhood. Because if you're going to incentivize development, you need to protect what's there. I mean, that's like the fundamental thing about that everyone's almost concerned about the opposite of what you just said. Why do we want to increase development? We don't know what they're going to do. We don't know what it's going to look like. Years ago, I proposed this type of protection for neighborhoods across the city. Okay, we decided not to do that. That's not what we want to do. But those neighborhoods don't exist. They can build whatever they want. These neighborhoods do exist. And so this is a protectionist thing for the character of the neighborhood. I was at that zoning board hearing the other night. 12 angry neighbors came out on that street and were really passionately opposed, as you heard some of them tonight. You know who didn't show up? The developer. He's got 4 phone calls, did not return one of them, and did not bother to show up to that hearing to hear what the neighbors' concerns were, or even though they didn't actually oppose his fundamental concept, of a duplex. Did not bother to show up. Those are exactly the types of people that we need to protect our neighborhoods from, right? That's what zoning is for.
Thank you. That did answer my question.
Okay. Councilor Grady Sexton.
So am I correct in saying that NIMBY would be I do not want a duplex in my neighborhood versus this, which is I do not want a duplex that doesn't fit the character of my neighborhood?
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So my question following up from Councilor Grady Sexton, and thank you for being here this long, and thank you for the patience of the audience and the council, is so with the changes to the ordinance that you've suggested, would that kill this project? Or would that change this project? And if it changed
You
this
know-
project, how would it change this project?
I will answer the second question first. It would absolutely change the project because no one is going to propose these garages if the building is 10 feet from the street because you won't be able to get into the garages. So these would be out of commission, right? Which means that this structure would shrink because now he needs room to put 1 or 2 driveways on either side to get the parking to the side or to the back. So necessarily, it would change what this is going to look like. I would be shocked beyond belief if this developer couldn't make money doing some, and I don't even care what it looks like. I'm not talking about architecture or traditional or colonial or Victorian. I do not care. Put the building on the street, put the driveways to either side. If you want to put garages in the back, go for it. You know, I would be absolutely shocked if this developer could not make that work financially. But I don't know because he did not return any of my phone calls.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Councilor Caleb.
Yeah, just one thing, just a thought I had. Folks are bringing up the historic nature of the South End, and you're absolutely right. The South End was found eligible to be on the Register of Historic Places, I think 20 years ago, which we spoke about briefly at a recent Heritage Commission meeting. And, you know, Concord does have a historic district. It is not designated the South End. It is where near where the new police station, 393, all of that. And there are restrictions on what you can do to properties in a historic district. So, I mean, you're absolutely right. There is so much rich history. It is, I feel very much for you all. Like, there are some things I've heard I agree with and many I may not. But folks speaking tonight did change my perspective a little. And I just wanted to offer that as to sort of take us out of zoning for a second. I'm not a zoning expert, but I am on the Heritage Commission, so I've been thinking about that.
Oh, excellent. Thank you for being on the Heritage Commission.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again,
Thank you, Heather.
really appreciate your time and
Thank
consideration.
you. Appreciate
Thank you very
yours.
much. Thank you.
Anyone else like to testify on item 28C? Right, seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing over. Madam City Clerk, item 28D.
It is an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, Title 4, Zoning Code, Chapter 28, Zoning Ordinance, Conversion of a Residential Building.
Mr. City Manager.
Honor members of the council, one of your goals that you set a couple months ago is to remove barriers to commercial and residential development through regulatory administrative reform. So therefore, you have, coming from the planning board and EDAC, to remove provisions which limit conversions of buildings constructed prior to 1945, expressly allow for the conversion of detached accessory structures in addition to the primary residential building and attached accessory structures, clarify minimum lot requirements based on total dwelling units which result at the property, i.e. the total number of pre-existing dwelling units as well as the new units resulting from the conversion combined. The current language in the ordinance is cumbersome and results in confusion. Relax limitations on expansion of floor area of existing structures as part of conversion, currently capped at 5%, by providing the opportunity to exceed said limit through a conditional use permit. It eliminates the minimum dwelling unit sizes required as part of a conversion, i.e. 600 square feet per one-bedroom unit and 800 square feet for two-bedroom units for gross floor area, and clarifies that conversions must comply with applicable parking requirements set forth in Section 28.7 of the zoning ordinance. These amendments will serve to clarify the existing ordinance, thus improve the ease and interpretation and administration, as well as help facilitate development of small-scale housing projects, 1 to 5 units, via conversion of existing buildings in zoning districts where such conversions are currently permitted, thus expanding the missing middle housing opportunities in the city. Again, this is recommended by both the Planning Board and the Economic Development Advisory.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Any questions for the City Manager? right, seeing none, I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to testify on item 28D? Item 28D, seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Madam City Clerk, item 28E.
It's an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, Title 4, Zoning Code, Chapter 28, Zoning Ordinance, Article 28-9, Administration and Enforcement, specifically Section 28-9-3, Decisions by the Zoning Board of Adjustment, and subsection 28-9-3F3, Application Procedure for the ZBA.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager.
And members of the council, if adopted, the attached amendment will modify 28-9-3, subsection F3 of the zoning ordinance to be consistent with New Hampshire RSA 676:7. Specifically, this amendment will allow the city to issue notices to abutters 5 days prior to a hearing instead of 10, as well as send notice only to those parties that are defined as an abutter by RSA 672:3, thus eliminating the requirement to notify all the property owners within 300 feet of subject parcels unless they meet the definition of abutter as defined in the aforementioned statute. Both changes help make the notification process more efficient. The amendment also codifies the use of verified mail as defined by RSA 21:3. These are housekeeping amendments which align the city's ordinance and process with state law. So this is just a housekeeping measure that's already been imposed by the state.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Any questions for the City Manager? All right, seeing none, I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to testify? Mr. Schwecker.
Good evening again, everybody. I guess I'd like a clarification, which, in other words, sometimes the state imposes requirements as the maximum you can do, and sometimes the minimum you can do. And if they've really said you could not require more than 5 days' notice, and you could not issue notices to people who are diagonally away 50 feet because that doesn't meet our definition, then clearly you've got to go with their stuff. On the other hand, if the state requirements for notifications are the minimum and you're allowed to increase them, I think you need to stay with what you have, because it's ridiculous in something where you've got lots that are 50 feet wide and somebody diagonally across from you is not in a abutter, even though it's perfectly visible, you hear all the noise from there and so forth. So I think you need to keep a more reasonable definition of a abutter, assuming that you're allowed to do so. And as far as the time limit, once again, I think 5 days is awfully short. You know, if you're away for a week, you miss your notice. And if you have to consult an expert, say, about something someone's going to do, you get a letter, you got 5 days to get an expert, have them, you know, deal with it and so forth before the hearing. And at the last zoning board hearing, Mr. Carley's left, so we can't ask him to clarify, but there were some people that claimed that in fact they did not get the notice in time for the hearing because the mail was delayed. So I think that, you know, 5 days is awfully short considering the mail delays we're having sometimes anymore. And I think that limiting abutters to, you know, directly adjacent and across and not diagonal is ridiculous. So I think you should, you know, keep the requirement as it is if you're allowed to. And I want to speak slightly out of turn on this. Mr. Mayor, you described, you know, the people buying a duplex, living on one side and renting out the other, and that was a great opportunity. And I think if you would change the law to require the ADUs, the person to live in one of those, you'd be increasing the opportunities for that because they would have to be sold to people who would do it and not to slumlords and whatnot. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schwecker. Any questions from Mr. Schwecker? Seeing none, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to testify on item 28E? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Nicholas Holmes, 131 North State Street. I would urge the council to maintain the longer standards. I just looked at the statute. The statute sets a minimum standard of it has to be at least 5 days. I'm speaking from personal experience. Our neighbor proposed building an office building directly across from my home. And if I had only received 5 days' notice, I might not have been home, I might not have been able to attend it, I wouldn't have been able to hire an attorney to represent me. These are important matters that affect people's homes, their property values. 10 days is not a lot of time. And we should do things right, but we should take the time and allow people to hire counsel to prepare for the hearing so that there can be a meaningful hearing. There's no need to rush on something that's important. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from Mr. Holmes? Hearing none, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Ruth Nato, and I'm on 16 Spruce Street, getting back to Spruce. I just wanted to let you, just so you're aware of my personal experience, I received for the April 1st planning board meeting, I believe it was, a certified notice in my mailbox on April 8th. I picked it up on April 9th to learn of a meeting that supposedly happened on April 1st. So it was 8 to 9 days later than the actual meeting. And I was fortunate enough that the issue that was spoken about at length here today about Spruce Street, that the meeting was postponed until the May meeting, which I attended last week, and did express my concern. And the response back from a member was that they didn't have anything to do with the notices piece. And then there was another gentleman that said we can't control the mail, and that they're often delayed. But I just wanted you to be aware that I personally did not receive a notice timely for something that said legal notice.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else who would like to testify on item 28E? Jesus. Right, seeing none, I'll declare the hearing closed. Madam City Clerk, item 28F.
It is an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, Title IV Zoning Code, Chapter 28 Zoning Ordinance, Development of Attached and Multifamily Buildings.
Mr. City Manager.
And members of the council, right to the end. Some of these amendments will amend and clarify standards for attached and multifamily development, remove conflicts with other municipal regulations, and provide increased flexibility for development of such projects in zoning districts as permitted. And you can see outlined above are all the different changes related to your goals. So there are numerous changes, so I won't just read them to you because I'm sure you've all read them. So this is again recommended by the Planning Board and Economic Development Advisory Committee.
Thank you. Any questions for the City Manager? Seeing none, is there anyone who would like to testify on item 28F? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Excuse me. Madam City Clerk, item 28G.
It is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a project agreement with New Hampshire Department of Transportation for the design, permitting, right-of-way, and construction of a multi-use path on city-owned rail corridor from Sewell's Falls Road north to the Boscawen Town Line, appropriating the sum of $1,553,928 in the Merrimack River Greenway Trail Project, accepting the sum of $1,243,142.40 in New Hampshire DOT Transportation Alternatives Program funding, authorizing the transfer and use of impact fee funds in the sum of $225,000, and authorizing the transfer and use of recreation reserve funds in the sum of $85,785.60 for this purpose.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager.
Members of the, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, you also have a revised resolution and a supplemental report, and I'd ask Beth Venstermark to come forward and present to you.
Thank you.
She's the one most familiar with the project.
Good evening, Mayor and City Councilors.
evening.
I apologize, Janice, for that title.
Yes, it's very long.
So this is for CIP 543, the Merrimack River Greenway Trail. The first two phases have been complete in the past 5 years. The funding has been through LWCF funding, general funds, and donations from the Friends of the Merrimack River Greenway Trail. In 2021, for this next section of the rail trail, which is described as north of 2nd Street up to the Concord River. We applied for a Transportation Alternative Program grant to design and construction this section of the rail trail. At the time, we were in the process of negotiating a purchase and sales agreement with Pan Am when we received the notice of that grant award. As we're all aware, that was delayed through various reasons with the state negotiations, and CSX acquired all the Pan Am properties. The TAP funding remained available. The state held on to that funding. So once we acquired the CSX property in February of this year, we were able to go back to the table with DOT to bring the TAP funding back. So before you tonight is the project agreement authorization for the city manager to assign into that project agreement. The state adjusted the dollar amount based on inflation. So in an effort to expedite the process, the incorrect numbers were given in April as part of the public hearing, the notice for the public hearing that Janice just read. So the revised resolution before you tonight and the supplemental report accounts for that additional inflation that the state put into the project agreement. So that's the reason for the difference in the numbers. It's just trying to expedite this so the state can start their process as well, so we can start design as soon as possible. In addition to the new resolution is we have a letter of commitment from the Friends of the Merrimack River Greenway Trail to donate $105,000. We had to put $104,000, et cetera, because the numbers have to match exactly to the state agreement in our resolution. So that's why it's not rounded up to the $105,000 in your resolution to approve tonight. We have a very successful relationship with the Friends group and the money that they've been able to donate. So we hope that you are willing to accept that donation to go towards the match that the state requires for this project. And I'm here for any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Fenstermark? Councilor Fennessy.
Thank you. Is there a deadline by which we have to act in order to access the state money?
So currently they have money still available in their FY26. They're trying to spend as much as they can. There's other projects that have been delayed. So they're motivated to get this approved so that they can give the money to us and we can start as soon as possible.
Other questions? Councilor Brown.
Yes, I'm just curious why the money would come from the Recreation Reserve and not the community improvement, because I thought the community improvement in the originating documents specifically stated it was for the Merrimack River Greenway, or it wasn't specific, but it alluded to the Merrimack River Greenway Trail.
You might have to ask Mr. LeBrun about that, or Mr. Spell.
Welcome, Mr. LeBrun.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. There could have been a couple of different reserves that we could have drawn this from. The Recreation Reserve seemed to make sense based on the dollars that were currently available. If you look at the Community Improvement Reserve, the dollars are allocated partly in the FY27 budget, and then 28, there was also a description from the manager when he made his presentation to use the remainder of that from the Community Improvement Reserve for the police station debt service. So that's why, and that pretty much used up all the funds there. We still have to put a little bit more in the Community Improvement Reserve at the end of 26 in order to make that work. So that was the thought process behind it. The City Council can make whatever decision they would like to make.
Thank you for that explanation.
Thank you, Mr. LeBrun.
Thank you.
Councilor Foote.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. LeBrun, you may want to stay up for this. I'm reading the item title, and it says Sewells Falls Road north of the Bosquen town line, and I'm looking at this, and I'm going back last month. We had some folks from the Merrimack Valley School District concerned about Pennacook monies going towards Memorial Field improvements. And do you have, so right here we're pulling out $300,000 in monies from reserve accounts to go towards the rail trail that's identified mostly in Pennacook. Is there, do we know what the city has appropriated in, say, in the last 2 or 5 years towards Pennacook from some of these reserve accounts?
From the reserve accounts, I can think more from the impact fee accounts. And there was about, I want to say it was about $190,000 from the Recreation Reserve for some projects in the Pennacook area. I can't remember exactly which ones they were. I'm just going off of memory here. But that would be, those projects would have gone towards some Pennacook projects. There were some of those dollars that actually went to, I believe, some of the rail project, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm trying to go by memory here.
And
follow-up?
Thank you, Your Honor. Also, in the same pot of money, the TIF that's currently, that serves exit 17 and then into Pennacook, how much money are we diverting in not paying for the bond for the TIF to pay that down? How much money are we diverting every year to supplement the Merrimack School District, Merrimack Valley School District?
So what I think what you're talking about is the retained versus the unretained value in the TIF district. The unretained amount would be what would be released and go back to the city and also Merrimack Valley School District for their appropriations as well, to come some of their appropriations. I think we started with about 11% the first year. That was about 4 years ago. I think we had 15% the next couple of years, and then this year I believe we're looking at approximately 20% that would be unretained. That represents, you know, a little over $100,000 this year. In the past couple of years, I think the first year was $50,000 or $60,000, something like that.
Thank you for that information.
Thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Fenstermacher or Mr. Lipper?
Can I go now?
I'm finding out.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you
very much. I'll now open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to testify on this item? Yes, please.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Councilors, Mr. Manager. My name is Nick Lemieux. I'm the president and a founding member of Friends of the Merrimack River Greenway Trail. And I want to give you a bit of a history of where we've been. Since 2012, we have helped the city secure approximately $5.8 million in grants, and on our own, we have raised $788,000 from more than 525 individuals and businesses and foundations, most of them here in Concord. So the project has a lot of community support. Since 2015, we have directly contributed more than $443,000 to the city for MRGT-related projects. That includes Terrell Park and the Sunflower section that are already open to the public and being used by Concord residents and visitors every day. For the Sunflower section, which was opened in September of 2024, we donated more than we pledged. We have also spent, in addition to the money we've given to the city, we've also spent $29,000 or more on bridge inspections, land appraisals, land surveys, removal of invasive plant materials, and building public information kiosks. So tonight we are announcing our commitment to raise at least $105,000 for this project. The Pennacook Rail Trail is now, what we're calling the Pennacook Rail Trail, is now a practical incremental next step for the MRGT. The corridor has been acquired, as you know. Federal funding has been secured, and the community fundraising is underway. The resolution before you would appropriate funding to advance approximately 1.8 miles yeah, that would be nice, of paved off-road multi-use trail along that corridor. So that would triple the amount of trail that we have built already, almost. The funding plan for the project leverages substantial outside funding. The city's share is approximately $348,000 toward a roughly $1.85 million project. So city funds represent less than 19 cents on the dollar. So taxpayers are getting a really good deal with this project. The project continues to build on more than a decade of partnership between the city and Friends, and we really have enjoyed that partnership, and we thank you very much. Most importantly, the project continues to expand public access to the Merrimack River. It creates new opportunities for safe walking and bicycling, and it continues the long-term investment in Concord's quality of life. We appreciate the city's partnership and the council's support over the years, and we respectfully ask for your support of the appropriation tonight. In closing, I want to point out that City Manager Thomas Spell took a timely and important step in 2021 when he submitted a letter of interest to snag this grant that's before you tonight. That forward thinking and that stepping out on a limb, if you will, got the city $1 million that, because of inflation, is now, what, $1.5 million. And that all happened before we even owned the land, which is sort of unheard of. Most federal grants are administered through the state. So thank you very much. We hope that you will approve the appropriation. We hope we can build phase 3 of the Merrimack River Greenway Trail. Godspeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from Mr. Levine? Councilor Brown.
Yes, you also provide a lot of free recreational activities. Wasn't there stargazing? You've had triathlons, you've had river floats, all kinds of different things that you have done to encourage people to go to. You had a great mascot there for a while, too. You had a great mascot for the trail.
Yes, we have had a lot of events that we've invited people to, and we've had people turn up. And yeah, the stargazing was fun. I don't remember if you were there, but we had fun on a dark night looking at the stars and the moon. Thank you for calling our attention to that.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, I have just one question and then a comment, if I could. The question is, for folks that want to either participate by donating or by volunteering, where would they go to get information about that?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Because there are more than 525 people in Concord, and we know that there have to be other people who would be interested in supporting us. So yes, thank you for bringing that up. Anyone who wants to help us support the city in this project can visit. It's very easy to remember, mrgt.org, and you can donate through there securely by credit card. We'll have our tent at the bike swap at S&W Sports on Saturday, this coming Saturday, this next weekend, and we'll have our tent at Market Days for 3 days. So anybody can come up, and we welcome the public, and we love answering questions and talking about the trail.
Just a follow-up comment, then, if I could. Thank you. So you had referenced the grant that we investigated and then eventually received back in 2021, and I just would like to point out that I think that part of that is that we could all see that there's a great solidity and support, as you've already referenced, from the community generally, but also it was very evident that Friends of the Merrimack River Greenway Trail would be a great partner, and that's obviously been shown. I mean, the numbers that you cited are phenomenal, really. So you've all done so I just want to thank you for being a great partner to the city also. And I think you've all done in that organization a great job at raising funds. It's a real model organization for that, as far as I can see. And I look forward to continuing the partnership. So thank you.
And thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Lemieux? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Lemieux.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to testify on item 28G? Mr. Schreiber. Welcome back.
Hello again, everybody. I'm going to give a slightly different version of the history, and maybe somebody can get this explained to me, because it seems when the Merrimack River Greenway Trail was originally proposed, they were going to build trails up both sides of the river with connections, so there'd be a number of loops possible. And at some point in time, it's been turned into a single linear trail, and I sent an email to them asking when this happened, and I haven't got an answer. Maybe some of you will do better in getting an answer from them. And the other thing is, apparently their sole goal is to pave the whole thing. And what they've done so far is they've paved existing things. They paved the road that went by the field that's now the Sunflowers, and they paved the sidewalk in the dog park. And if they're really talking about this as a rail trail extension, I would like to point out that the northern rail trail the one that goes from Boscawen over to Lebanon, in fact, has a packed dirt surface. It is not paved. And paving is very expensive. It probably will be over half the project cost. And so my suggestion is that since, once again, we're going to go back a step. It seems to me like back when the city appropriated the money to buy the land, the city manager said that the construction would be funded by donations. Well, now it seems that only 20% of this phase is going to be funded by donations. The rest of it's coming from the city. And so my feeling is, now that the city is paying most of the cost of this, it should be the city that determines what is built and not the Friends of the Merrimack River Greenway Trail. So I'd like to suggest that whereas, taking this federal grant is clearly the thing to do, that we do like it's been done previously and slightly repurpose it, as in the original grant was to bridge the swamp, which still hasn't been done. It was repurposed to just pave an existing trail. And so I'd like to say we will not pave the section of trail that we're going to do. We will use the money to extend the regular trail further. And one reason for that might be they seem to be desperately in a hurry to get the rails pulled up. And it seems to me that, like when you have that heavy equipment there, that would also be the cheapest thing to have the ties pulled up. So it would be better for us to spend the money not to pave the short section, but to improve a longer section. And half of the northern rail trail, essentially they took the existing cinders and ran a road grader over them. They say it's self-healing, whereas once you pave it, then you're going to have the problem with potholes and expensive maintenance, whereas for the gravel surface or packed dirt surface, whatever you want to call it, I guess they use some special crushed aggregate on some of it, and the rest of it they just used the cinders because, of course, the railroad wanted a nice, hard, smooth surface. So once you remove the ties and regrade the gaps, you can have such a surface. And the Northern Rail Trail, they had 8 different activities that they used on it. In the winter, they did cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, dog sledding, and snowmobiles. And I would say for all 4 of those, it makes no difference whatsoever whether the trail is paved, because you're doing it on a surface of several inches of snow. For the summer activities, they had walking, jogging, horseback riding, and wheelchairs, and also biking. I guess walking and jogging were one. My impression is the horses would much rather not have it paved. The walkers may go both ways. I personally don't like walking on pavement, but some people may prefer it. But so the walkers are kind of ambivalent. The wheelchairs, apparently they're able to navigate this packed dirt. It doesn't need to be paved. And as far as the bikes, if you're using a road bike, you might want it to be paved. But an awful lot of people are using the, what do you call them, combination bikes? Hybrid bikes and mountain bikes and so forth that are perfectly able to operate on the packed dirt. So I think spending over half of our money to pave a short section as compared to improving a much longer section is a foolish idea, and I would like to suggest that you revise the grant like they did the previous grant to do that. And the same thing, I know you're applying for grants to finish it, but go through and finish the thing with a dirt surface all the way down to the end before you get into paving it. And then if you decide you want to pave it, that should be a separate discussion, because my personal feeling is the expense of paving this trail that'll make it worse for some users is not a good idea. We need to continue to, extend it, the whole thing, as compared to paving it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schweiker. Any questions from Mr. Schweiker? Councilor Brown.
I do not, I'm just wondering, you believe that this grant can be used to bridge from Terrell Park to the sunflower fields?
No, not that bridge.
Okay.
I'm talking about right now, apparently they think the money is only able to do, is it a third of the distance of the railroad track you just bought? Only 1.7 miles or whatever the number is from Hannah Dustin down to Sewell's Falls Road. And that's less than half of it by far. Whereas if you didn't pave it, Whether you could do the whole thing, particularly if you had the heavy equipment, yank all the ties while they're doing the rails.
Gotcha. Okay,
And
thank you.
then run a road grader over the cinders, and you have a trail that nearly everybody could use. The only people that couldn't would be the people that are using the very narrow-tired bikes or maybe a narrow wheelchair, but the Northern Rail Trail says they use wheelchairs on the Pack Dirt.
Right.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Schwenker. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Welcome.
Nicole Fox. I would just like to say that I appreciate the council's support for the Merrimack River Greenway Trail, and I hope that you will continue that. I would like to point out that this is an incredibly rare opportunity to create a alternative transportation route for non-motorized traffic through the city. We do not have very many corridors where this is an option, and connecting Pennacook to downtown as a transportation corridor, which will definitely be benefited by being paved, not only for those who have disabilities and mobility impairments, but also for those who might want to commute or otherwise move back and forth once this trail is complete. So I just wanted to add that.
Any questions from Ms. Fox? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to testify? All right, seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed. This brings us to the public hearing action. Would the city council like a 5-minute break?
Sure.
I'm seeing some nodding heads. All right, I'll declare a 5-minute recess. Please make it 5 minutes. Thank you. Bring the meeting back to order. We are at the public hearing action phase of our meeting. Madam City Clerk, item 29.
It is an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances to modify no parking restrictions on Church Street between Bradley and Rumford Streets.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll move approval. We can start the conversation.
All right.
Oh, good.
Moved and seconded. Moved by the chairman of the parking committee and seconded. Would you like to speak to your motion?
Well,
Councilor Todd?
I would like to hear from other people's thoughts, because I think we did hear some testimony. The parking committee, generally, what we try to do is we try to have, hear from residents on issues before we decide on things, but sometimes you just don't get that input. And it comes before the council, and then people are made aware, and then they say, well, wait a minute, I have some concerns. So whatever the wishes would be of the rest of the council, but you know, you could certainly ask to have it brought back to the parking committee and have the more wider viewpoint given from various people who live on that street and would be affected. That'd be fine.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Creditford.
Mr. Todd, thank you so much for that, because I was going to, in my conversation, say that I wasn't going to support this at this time, that I thought it would be best to send it back to the parking committee so that we could get further input from the residents that are directly impacted from this area. And I know that sometimes the meetings do sneak up on people. More communication is a better option. So thank you for bringing that forward.
Okay. Other discussion? Would you want to amend your motion?
She could make
I will make a motion that we send this back to the committee.
Second.
All right. Moved and seconded. Will you withdraw your motion?
Yeah, you need to. In the second.
Okay. So the motion is to refer this back to the parking committee for more community conversation. All right. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
I was just going to say, having been on the parking committee, I'm always an advocate for more community input. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. And considering that these are all my neighbors around the corner from me, I appreciate it as well.
You're welcome.
Go all the way down the street. All right, all those in favor of the motion. The motion is to refer back to parking for more public input. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Thank you. This brings us to item 30. Madam City Clerk?
It's an ordinance amending fees, fines, and penalties together with non-ordinance fees.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Councilor Kurtz.
Thank you. I just want to speak very briefly to maybe making the chart a little bit easier to read in the future for everyone. That if the headings appeared on every one of the 5 pages, it would be much easier to navigate. I myself struggled to make sense of it. So I thank staff for their efforts and humbly recommend that slight adjustment to it in the future.
Councilor Creditford.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Kurtz, because I was also going to add the same sentiment. We start every meeting now talking about if anybody is hearing impaired, we have devices available for you so that you may see this. On the DEI-JB committee, we actually have someone that serves with us that is visually impaired, and we are often modifying or putting things up on the display so that they can be blown up so the person can see. This print is so tiny, it does not meet ADA accessibility, which should be in 14-point font. It would be my recommendation that these type of reports, while they are digital and they don't necessarily need to be printed, they ought to be blown up to a point that the average person could read them without strain. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Caitlin.
Yes, thank you. Just a question. So that document, I imagine the document of fees and fines is on the city website in that sort of PDF form. Is it on the website in any other way, like a web page, or is it just the PDF document? Does anyone know?
I would ask Mr. LeBrun. I suspect it's as a PDF document.
It's all as a PDF.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, for a follow-up. I do think it could be taken a step further for greater accessibility to be put on the website, font larger. There's the toggle between languages also on our website feature. Definitely would improve the accessibility of that. I was also very much struggling to go through that document as well. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to speak quickly. I will support these. However, I do want everybody to keep in mind with respect to the fees associated with the citywide community center. We had a committee maybe 2 years ago now, maybe 3. Time flies when you're having so much fun.
It's 4 years ago.
Okay, it's 4 years. I stand corrected. And one of the things we did was we rolled back a number of the usage fees for that in order to generate, we hoped, volume, which my understanding, and I'm sure Mr. Gill will correct me, volume has made up for the reduction in rental fees. And so while I'm okay with, I think it's $2 for most of those fees going up, I do think we need to keep an eye on those. I don't want us to return to a place where those are too high and people are not utilizing the spaces.
Thank you, Councilor. Mr. LeBrun?
I was corrected quite promptly by somebody who texted me and said that it's on the website as an Excel document.
Thank you. So it's on as an Excel document. And it's been pointed out to me that you know, when we're looking at it online, we can increase the size of the magnification as well. And if we're on a device like a iPad, we can also increase it. However, that's not to discount the point that's being made about the size of the font.
And the headers.
And the headings,
And
where
the
you can
headings.
get in,
The
but without the
headings.
headings, you
Yep.
can't make sense of what
I
you're.
think staff have heard that loud and clear. Councilor Brown?
Yes, I'd like to make an amendment to the motion of this report that we increase the non-resident fees. I know Mr. Gill had stated that he just wanted it to be $20 over, but in the non-residents paying $20 more than residents, and there was a slight increase in the residents, but the residents' percentage of an increase is greater than the percentage of the non-residents. So I'd like to increase it instead of 20 to 30. And if folks would rather have RPAC discuss it, I'm amenable to sending it back to RPAC to fix it up, to add labels. But if we just want to move forward, I would like to see non-residents pay $30 more than residents.
So your motion is to modify the fees so
For
that non-residents in all categories are paying
Well,
$30 more?
in the categories where, yes, I would say that they should be paying or they should be paying more than non-residents. The increase should be greater on non-residents than it is on residents.
I think it would be helpful to staff if you indicated like a number. Or
I would just say, where
Or a
they're
percentage.
increasing it over 20, make that 30.
So any place that a non-resident is paying 20, you would prefer that they pay 30?
Yes.
And your motion is to make that change?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Councilor Kretovic?
Thank you, Your Honor. Typically, when we've discussed things between a resident and non-resident, sometimes when we're looking at percentages, to just blatantly say that this one's going to be $5 more, that it's an equal percentage, that would be my recommendation, is to make an amendment that it's an equal percentage or a slight percentage more than just a flat $30 across an entire report, unless you are specific to the recreation and the community.
Councilor Kurtz?
Yeah, I think my concern about your motion or your amendment is that I think we're trying to keep rates still within a reasonable reach for all the users who have increased the volume. And I mean, to be frank, you threw a number out, but I don't know that it solves. It may adjust the percentage problem, but I don't think it, is sort of a thoughtful solution to the percentage problem. Whereas, the $20 over the resident fee, I think, is an attempt to still give a benefit to residents, whose taxpayer dollars subsidize the building, while also keeping rates in the range for people in neighboring communities to make use of it. So I'm not
compelled to support sort of that approach.
Councilor Grady Sexton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will be voting against this. I think that the committee used some metrics to determine and some research to determine how to set these rates, and I'm not comfortable with just sort of an arbitrary number being thrown out that may or may not be detrimental.
Any other discussion? Councilor Brown.
Yes, I'd just like to remind folks that our next meeting on Thursday is the budget, and it is super high, and we are allowing non-residents to use the space, and we are still paying the debt service on this space. And just increasing it $20, I think it could be higher. And I think saying $30 for a non-resident is still generous to them, but it's also recognizing that we're keeping the recommendation for residents. It's just the non-residents that I would add, the $10 more, because the residents are facing some incredible costs, and we have to look carefully at where we can increase revenue.
Councilor Fennessy.
Thank you. I think non-residents are already paying a premium to use this space, and while we certainly recoup some money, I don't think you're going to solve a budget deficit by collecting a couple more dollars. So I don't think this is the solution. I think, certainly I think there's been a lot of thought into what that premium is that we expect non-residents to pay to use our space. But you don't want to completely discourage people who are going to pay a premium to use the space.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Councilor Second.
Thank you. I just want to ask David Gill, what is the reasoning behind the $20 flat fee?
Mr. Gill, come up.
Sure.
Mr. Gill? Come on down.
While he's walking, may I?
Yeah.
I just think that it's not going to help the budget one bit if we have rates that are so high that people go elsewhere and don't use the facility at all.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. The non-resident $20 rate, I think, has been in place probably for 15 years, and it was tried to capture the difference in the rate that Concord taxpayers are paying for recreational spaces. I do agree. I think it's a challenge when, I don't know if it goes back to RPAC or last year or 2 years ago, we increased the non-resident pool pass. I think it was by $30 or $40. We actually received less money. So I think there is going to be that balance. And I think we're at the sweet spot, but I don't know where that, financial review is, when we can make more money and not.
Follow up. And that was the reason I asked that $20 fee, because if we are looking at impact, if we raise it, it's going to decrease. If we, and this is, I'm just taking it hypothetically. If we maintain it, has the impact been great? Like you have been seeing really people come in and the numbers has been good for the last 15 years. Like year basis, do you say that in 2024 it was greater than 2023 or 2025 was greater than, we are just in 2026, so that's not a year to compare, but.
Yeah, the vast majority of the folks renting our community centers and our parks are Concord residents or Concord-based nonprofits. There are very few. I think the biggest user is the non-resident pool pass from a volume point of view, but the vast majority are residents who use our facilities.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. City Manager.
So I'm trying to bring this to belabor the point, obviously, in trying to figure out what those dollars would actually be. And if you look at I think you can use the exercise rooms as an example. So I think what Mr. Gill was talking about, for a resident to use one of the exercise rooms for an hour, $15. If you're a non-resident, it's $35. So the recommendation from the committee was to go from $15 to $16, which is a 6.67% increase. So if we wanted to go up with the same increase as we're doing for the residents, for the non-residents, instead of it going up from $35 to $36, we'll go up from $35 to $37.33. So we're talking about $1.33. I would suggest we finish talking about that and move on to important business. But
Thank you, Mr. City Manager.
just bring us reality to it.
I will be voting against this motion for many of the reasons that were summarized by Mr. Gill and by the city manager. I particularly don't want to see us want to see us pushing business away by trying to bring in some short money. So are we ready for the vote? Now this is on the proposed amendment.
The amendment.
The amendment.
The amendment,
Thank you.
correct. This is on the amendment. All those, so if you're in favor of Councilor Brown's amendment, you will vote yes. If you're opposed to Councilor Brown's amendment, you will vote no. All right, are we ready for the vote? All those in favor of the amendment as proposed, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no? No. Okay, the motion, the amendment fails. This brings us back to the original motion. Are we ready to vote on the motion to approve?
Yes.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? All right, the ayes have it. The motion passes. This brings us to item number 31. Madam City Clerk.
It is an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, Title IV, Zoning Code, Chapter 28, by amending certain definitions included within the glossary and supplemental standards.
I move to amend.
Motion is made to how to amend it in what way?
I motion to amend the proposed ordinance change found in Section 2 to reinstate the text proposed to be stricken and instead add for any new construction occurring in the RD or RN districts to the beginning of 28-5-2. -2.
I'm sorry, could you say that again? Because I lost it.
I motion to amend the proposed ordinance change found in Section 2 to reinstate the text proposed to be stricken and instead add for any new construction occurring in the RD or RN districts to the beginning of 28-5-2, that whole paragraph.
Could you read that as it would be amended?
Yes. So none of it would be stricken, and you would just add the for new construction in RD, RN at the beginning of that paragraph.
Okay.
Second.
Moved and seconded, okay? Is there discussion? Councilor Sekou.
Do you have concern that this amendment that we are making is enough information for people, or do you feel comfortable tabling this until we get more information?
I'm open to a table.
Okay. So,
Oh, no, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
okay.
Just go ahead.
Thank you. No.
Sorry.
Councilor Kurtz.
Yes, I was wondering if it was appropriate for us to speak to Mr. Walsh or Mr. Thompson at this time, to ask them some clarifying questions about this?
Sure, I'd love to have them come up.
Thank you.
You beat me to it, because I was going to ask them to come up as well.
No one made a motion to amend.
He did.
He made a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, is there a second?
There wasn't.
Yes, there
There
was a second. There were
All
two
right,
seconds.
all right, thank you, sorry.
Oh,
That's correct. We skipped over the
so we needed to
initial motion.
move approval second and then amend?
He was amending the report and the
Amending the
ordinance.
report.
Amending the ordinance.
Motion is to amend.
Right, if the amendment
Great.
passes, then we
It's the
vote,
language.
so everybody knows. If the amendment passes, then we vote on the amended ordinance, okay?
But he did say that he's open to tabling it if the information is not enough here.
I'll hear out our community development
Yeah,
staff too.
yeah. So, welcome.
Councilor Kurtz.
Councilor Kurtz.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
I suspected that, that was why you
Great
asked.
to see you. Thanks for coming up. First off, thank you for bringing these ordinances to us. I have been one of the folks who's been asking since I got here for zoning changes. So I, with great care and respect for all of your effort, have a few questions about this particular item generated by the robust conversation that we had with members of the community. And I guess speaking specifically to the language proposed by my colleague, Councilor Davey, what do you think basically about this proposal to specifically
specifically carve out some protection for the RN and RD districts.
So I appreciate trying to do some quick thinking and come up with a solution tonight. Just looking at the language that Councilor Davies suggested, it talks about in any district where permitted, and you said you would leave the language as it is, but
excuse me.
yeah, and so I just flagged that. One other alternative could be I get nervous about making zoning decisions quickly in one night without thinking about them based on testimony. One thing that I might suggest to the council is the staff and I feel very strongly about section 1 of the ordinance that you're looking at, which is all the definitions, which have been problematic for a very long time. And if the council has concerns about the section 2 of the ordinance, which talks about the lot area and the frontage, maybe a motion could be just to remove that from the ordinance and ask the planning board and staff to take a look at alternative ideas, including those that have been talked about tonight, and then but move forward with section 1 and allow that to happen, which I think would clear up a lot of things. Just more globally, not to sidetrack the council, you've been here since 5:30 tonight, and you're probably hungry. But I would say that
that's handled.
Mark, if it makes you feel better, I've been munching too. So
some of us are hungry.
I've been munching too. But I would say
Brownies, Oreos,
he's the man to see. But I would say that you have 4 different amendments that are before you tonight. The planning board recommended them, EDAC recommended them. I think you got a pretty good endorsement from the chair of the zoning board tonight. The staff feels good about them. If this is the one that's causing you some hiccup or you want to pause and think a little bit longer about section 2, that's okay. And I would say if they were all adopted tonight and had been in place, the zoning board meeting last week would have been 25% shorter. There would have been 25% less cases, which I think is also a good thing. And it also would have given the planning board a lot more control over some of these issues, which is also a good thing. So I think the staff recommendation would be, if you want to amend the ordinance that's before you, would be just to delete section 2 of the ordinance as it's proposed, leave section 1, and then allow it to be enacted if you pass it tonight.
Thank you very much.
The one thing I would like to add to Mr. Walsh's comments is this still is a pending zoning board case for the variance on Spruce Street to allow a duplex on the lot that would not meet the minimum frontage and area requirements that currently exist. Had these ordinance amendments passed and that were included, they would not need a variance for that particular request. That does not prevent this particular application from remaining on the zoning board's agenda. It was continued to a date certain of June 1st. So this application will still be heard by the zoning board. So there is still the potential for a duplex to potentially happen if the zoning board were to grant favorably.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. I was going to ask you about that because that's the first thing that occurred to me. I suspect that the zoning board will be sensitive to making the applicant wait too long and probably will take this up. And that's my guess.
Yeah. There was a lot of conversation. I happened to staff that zoning board, which is the first zoning board meeting I've staffed in years, that the board struggled with this decision, understanding the status of where things are currently, where we have a posted zoning ordinance amendment, as well as the existing language, and by state law, we essentially have two different ordinances in effect at the moment until a decision is made by this council.
Thank you. Councilor Fennessy.
What does that mean? We have 2, I'm not sure what that means.
What clarification?
What that means.
When a municipality posts a zoning ordinance amendment, a developer has the right to proceed under that proposed amendment at their own risk, knowing it is a pending request.
I see.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilor Fennessy.
Thank you. I just had a question. If we were to adopt section 1, but not section 2, there's language in the definition of the two-family duplex, the two-family dwelling duplex, which refers back to 2852. Do we have to fix that, or we're still fine?
I think we're still fine.
Yeah, I think we're okay, and it refers back to, it's 552, is that what you're looking at there?
Oh,
Yeah.
you're right.
Which is
Yeah.
the accessory dwelling unit ordinance.
Yep.
So what we're trying to do is clarify that a duplex
Got
is
it.
not an accessory dwelling unit, so that's why
It's
that's there.
clarifying that and also clarifying the issue that's been a longstanding issue with the definition of an attached structure, which currently includes 2 units, which is a statutorily problematic definition. So that's why it's important for us to get that attached to a 3-unit or more.
And I personally agree. I think those definitions do need to get cleaned up, and I think that aspect, section 1, I'm perfectly comfortable with.
Okay. Councilor Seku and then Councilor Schlosser.
Thank you, and that's what I was asking Councilor Davis earlier, because we don't have enough information. You just confirm it as expert here for the city saying that, but the word delete that you use, I'm a little confused with it. Do you mean in the section 2, deleting section 2, or do you mean referring it back to planning for more? Because if we delete it, we forget about it. That's my understanding.
I think for the purposes of tonight, Mayor Pro Tem, it would be to amend the ordinance by deleting section 2 as proposed. And I think that the motion could also ask the staff to go back and have conversations with the planning board about 2852 of the ordinance to see what the board and what might be an alternative to what was proposed tonight.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Schlosser.
But I just want to be, when you say, what you're suggesting is delete the deletion.
Delete the proposed amendment so that the ordinance language
So
would remain as
28-5 would stand as it is.
Currently is written.
Correct. You would strike section 2 of the proposed ordinance. And it would still stay, as it's currently drafted in the ordinance, which means there would still be the 150% lot area and lot frontage requirement.
So we're going to strike the correction, the
amendment,
amendment,
the
the change, and leave it the way it was.
As it is today.
Yeah, thank you.
Right.
I just wanted to-
Pending the
thank
work
you,
by the
thank you.
staff. And Councilor Credit.
Thank you. I don't generally have a geographical map in my brain that tells me where these different residential districts are. I do know the character of the south area of the city, particularly around these areas in Spruce Street and Badger Street. And I know the areas around White Park. I also know the areas around Fosterville, and I know the areas around West, Mill Place West, and the mill areas up there, and the areas in Pennacook. I don't know if it's RN, I don't know if it's RD. I know that they have the same challenge that these neighborhoods would have. And I would be concerned that if we passed something that was an RD versus an RN that wasn't an RM or an RB, you know.
That's why I think
And
going back and taking.
That's why I'm
yeah.
going to support that we do send this back to planning and to zoning with that thought in mind, that it can't just be restricted there. We do need to think broader, because these other neighborhoods would also be impacted by something like this. Appreciate your attention.
So, like I said, I'm amenable to a table. I'm amenable to just striking section 2. I got very excited, got very ahead of myself. But for the audience who spoke tonight, thank you again for your time. Thank you again for speaking up. I would encourage everyone in the audience to save these thoughts about neighborhood character for all of the master plan outreach, because these conversations will influence the master plan, which will influence the zoning rewrite in 3-4 years following that. So these are, whatever we decide tonight is still like more or less a Band-Aid until we get 3 or 4 years.
These are interim changes.
Interim, thank you. So that's all I had to say.
So Councilor Davey, are you interested in amending your motion?
Yes, so I will amend my motion to strike section 2 of the proposed ordinance.
And send it
Back to the staff or planning board?
Staff and planning board.
Both, for further discussion.
I will second, but could I? Yes. But when we say strike section 2, it usually means you remove section 2 in its entirety.
Yes.
Of Councilor, it's, yeah.
I know, I just want to be precise. We're gonna leave section 2 in, but not amend it as proposed.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to be really precise what.
Well, it stays in the.
It stays in the ordinance, but that section is stricken from the proposed ordinance in
From
front
the
of you.
proposed
The
ordinance.
change is stricken.
Right.
The
exactly.
change is stricken.
Okay.
Thank you.
We all understand that. Councilor Kurtz, did you have your hand up?
I was gonna ask how we get here.
Oh, I'm sorry,
so-
Councilor Grady Sexton, you had.
I was going to make that recommendation, but I also want to thank all of the neighbors who have very compelling testimony. I'd urge you all to come back during the master planning process, so thank you.
I second that. Councilor Schlosser.
But I want to acknowledge the work on all of these by the staff, and I don't know who else worked on it, but I want to acknowledge, I appreciate that work, and I do appreciate the neighbors coming out and speaking such a heartfelt way for our great city and the great South End. Thank you.
Thank you. Are we ready for a vote on the amended motion? Thank you, gentlemen, as usual.
You're welcome.
Are we ready for a vote on the amended motion? Yes. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Item 31 is adopted as amended. Madam City Clerk, item 32.
It is an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, Title 4 Zoning Code, Chapter 28 Zoning Ordinance, Section 28-5-3, conversion of a residential building.
Moved.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Move approval?
Yes, I moved it.
Second.
Yep.
Councilor Schultz moved, you seconded. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Passes. Madam City Clerk, item 33.
It's an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, Title 4 Zoning Code, Chapter 28 Zoning Ordinance, Administration and Enforcement, decisions by the Zoning Board of Adjustment, and application procedures for the ZBA.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Councilor Krivik.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll not be voting in favor of this. I think that we as a council, we made a sub-priority of a priority, that we were going to be more communicative to our community. And since we don't have to meet the minimum, we can meet what we do as the standard now. I appreciate the testimony of people, especially when they received a certified letter days after the actual hearing was supposed to take place. In the letter, we can do better, and so we should do better, so I'll be voting no.
Thank you. I would like to ask, could I ask staff to return? I almost asked you about this when you were up here before, but I didn't want to muddy the waters.
Understood.
I was curious, I'm sorry, please get settled. Thank you. I was curious as to why we felt why the planning board, the zoning board, the staff felt it was appropriate to go to the minimum, because before these people testified, I thought the same thing. I mean, mail is slower these days. And
So what we were trying to do is the state, this is what the state statute is, and the state of New Hampshire, for whatever reason, has two different notification requirements for the planning board versus the zoning board. The planning board is 10 days, the zoning board is 5 days. Only the legislature knows why. The other issue is we have this supplemental standard to go 300 feet, where if you're a planning board if you're the zoning board, we notice everybody in a 300-foot buffer around a property. If you're the planning board, we just do immediate abutters. And so, maybe a compromise might be that if the council's worried about the amount of time, it might be you could amend to, let's say we'll do 10 days instead of the 5 that's allowed by statute. But it might be appropriate still to do away with the 300-foot notification around the property, because it's not consistent with what the planning board is. So if you did 10-day notice and immediate abutters, you're consistent with what the planning board would be, and you'd be parity there, which would be easier for all parties to understand: developers, neighbors, the staff. So
the ultimate intent in the drafting of this was to mimic statute for both boards, because the planning board's requirements are a direct reference to statute, which is why we propose to do the same with the zoning board.
See Councilor Fennessy, then Councilor Kurtz.
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. All right.
Chivalry is not dead, I guess, huh?
Far be it for me to try to guess what the legislature was thinking, but I do think that given that the zoning board is quasi-judicial and their rulings carry a different weight, and we know that things go to them that require a higher bar, and I appreciate that we are changing some of our ordinances to be conditional use permits rather than seeking those variances. I do think it is appropriate to assure that abutters have appropriate access and notification for such meetings.
The only thing I can think of, having 30 years of experience in New Hampshire as a planner, is that because the zoning board is required to publish a legal notice in a newspaper and the planning board is not, that's why there's the 5-day versus 10-day requirement.
And we have run into that challenge before. We do not publish the planning board in the newspaper, and sometimes trying to get notices to the Concord Monitor and getting them all published can be challenging. Yep.
Okay. Council Fennessy.
Thank you. Thank you for the proposed compromise. As I was sitting here, 5 days is not a lot of time. I've appeared in front of ZBAs in a variety of different places, and the jurisdictions that, if you don't know it's coming, there's a pretty good chance you're not going to find out. I've had clients who call me up and they're like, oh, I just found out about this. And I was like, well, too bad. Like, you're stuck with whatever took place. So I think keeping it consistent between the planning board and the zoning board is a good idea. I like the idea of moving away from 300 feet. Immediate abutters, I think, is appropriate. I certainly, if people were interested in entertaining an amendment to the motion, I would make that.
Do you want to restate it? So, as a motion?
Sure.
For the benefit of the clerk?
I would propose that we amend the ordinance as proposed to strike the portion that had the 10 days, return to where the 10 days was before, and to keep the 300 feet being struck up.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Counselor?
Yes, I have a question. We heard testimony that the 300-foot abutter, does that disqualify somebody across the street?
No, it does
Okay.
not. No. So if you're across the street or diagonally or
Across a
however-
body of water or
Yep.
any.
Oh.
Yep.
Those are still legal abutters under statute.
Thank you.
Okay, do we understand the motion? We ready for the vote? All those in favor, please. Thank you, gentlemen. I'm sorry.
No.
Counselor.
I just wanted to make sure, based on your amendment, you want to say to keep in consistency with the ZBA too as well, right? Because I think during your conversation, you did say that you liked that we keep it in consistency with.
Well, this would be now consistent between what's in the ZBA procedure and what is currently in the planning
Okay.
board.
So, good.
Okay. All right, all ready for the vote? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Thank you.
That was an amendment.
Back to 10, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was an amendment, right. An amendment to the motion to adopt. Thank you, Councilor Schlosser. All those in favor of the amended motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Thank you, Councilor Schlosser. Madam City Clerk, item 33.
That was 34.
Oh, that was 33. I'm sorry.
Point of order.
Yes, sir.
Do you want air conditioning or not? You're going to be here a while. This is,
Yes.
I'm just looking
No,
at
I'm
Council.
okay.
Yeah, it looks like Councilor.
Usually I'm
No, leave it
overheated.
alone? Okay, well, if you want to take a vote,
All right.
I'm glad to turn the air conditioning.
Thank you.
You're going to be here
I
for
can
another
shed a
couple
layer.
hours.
I'm good.
so.
All right.
You don't have to
Why
be
do you
here
think
for a
that,
while.
Tom?
It's up to,
Why do you think we'll be
you can move it
here
along.
for another hour or so?
Oh, you got it.
Depends on you guys. Madam City Clerk, item 34. I'm
It
going to crack the whip.
It is an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, Title 4 Zoning Code, Chapter 28, Zoning Ordinance, Section 28-4-5, Development of Attached and Multifamily Buildings.
Thank you.
Move to approve.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Madam City Clerk, item 35.
Okay. As advertised, this is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a project agreement with New Hampshire DOT for the design, planning, or design permitting, right-of-way, and construction of the multi-use path on the city-owned rail corridor from Sewell's Falls Road north to the Boscawen Town Line.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion.
I would,
Oh, I'm sorry.
note That's perfect. You may want to consider the amended resolution. Perhaps make a motion on the amended numbers.
Okay.
I will make a motion on the amended numbers to accept.
Moved by Councilor Kretovic, seconded by Councilor Schultz. All right, discussion. Councilor Fennessy.
I just have a question, and it's really a point of clarification for, I think, people at home. So if we approve this, it's not only for design, permitting, and right-of-way, it's actually for the construction of this as well, this section. Correct?
Yes.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Councilor Kretovic.
Thank you, Your Honor. When we embarked on this project, which seems like so long ago, we really talked about the economic impact something like this could have in our community. I loved when Mrs. Fox came up and talked about the transportation corridor that doesn't rely on a motor vehicle. This is exactly the type of growth in our community that we want to be supporting. Less fossil fuels, less wear and tear on our roads, and greater access to different areas of our city. I am so excited about this being up in our area of the city and connecting us to the town of Boscawen. It's a dream to connect Bow to the town of Boscawen through the city of Concord on a paved road for the purpose of this, so that kids can participate in the great outdoors on their scooters and on their skateboards and on their bicycles, but as well as parents with their strollers and their children, and those that are handicap bound, that are in wheelchairs or using canes, that it is difficult sometimes for all different modes of that non-motorized use on a hard-packed path. And we know this because we live by one, and it is hard with a stroller to push that through that hard pack. I'm excited about this, and I'm super excited to be supporting this motion.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Councilor Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll try to be brief. I concur with Councilor Kretovic's comments and also the testimony received from Ms. Fox as well. I think that this is really going to be a game changer for Pennacook in many ways. I know there are a lot of people in the community that are very excited about this, and they're looking forward to it with great anticipation. So I'm very proud to be able to support this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Let me also say that I want to thank Friends of the Merrimack River Greenway Trail and the great work that they've done. They've been great partners with the city in terms of fundraising, making their marks. I can't remember who said it, but I agree, they surely are kind of the model for a community group that is motivated and effective at raising funds for a project that they really believe in. So congratulations to them as well. Are we ready for the vote? Yes. Mr. Spell.
I'd just like to say, working with Merrimack River Greenway Trail has been very rewarding, I think, for the entire community. But there's always going to be critics who are going to fight against transformational projects. And this is a transformation. The people are going to look back in 10 years and say, what a move that the city council made and to make this happen. But there are people who are opposed to these types of things and want to stop this community from these types of growth, and I'm glad that you're listening to the people like Dick Lemieux and others to make this happen, because this again, none of us can really understand the difference this is going to make in 10 years to this community. It's going to be phenomenal. So I really hope you do approve this project.
Thank you, Mr. Spell.
Thank you.
All right, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. It's unanimous. Ayes have it. Congratulations, Mr. Lemieux. And team.
Keep that money coming.
Keep that money coming, that's right. Keep shaking that can. Thank you. This moves us to consideration of items pulled from the consent agenda. That brings Madam City Clerk, item number 7.
This was listed as a referral to RPAC, I believe. Yes, to the Recreation and Parks Advisory Committee, pulled by Councilor Caleb. It's a communication from Julia Freeman-Wolpert requesting review of current park permit fees for small community events and discussion of ways to improve access to public parks for local use.
Thank you.
Approval.
Second.
Seconded. Councilor Caleb?
Yes, thank you. I'll keep it quick. So given that this communication, she pointed out two things. One, talking about the cost of the permit potentially being a deterrent for her personally. And then secondly, she said to have a vibrant community, people need to be able to access our spaces for gatherings. To me, I see this as a matter of equity, access, and belonging. And I would like to suggest that this go to RPAC and the DEIJB committee.
So you're moving to amend this to send it to both RPAC and DEIJB?
I'll second that.
All right, moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? All right, all those in favor of the amendment as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. All in favor of the amended motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. You have that, Madam Clerk?
I do, thank you.
All right. Brings us to item number 20.
This was pulled from the consent agenda by Councilor Brown. It's a quarterly status report on City Council's 2026-2027 priorities.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Council Brown.
Yes, I
have a
just wanted,
question. I'd like to call the question.
I have a request to call the question as a non-debatable motion. Madam City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Wait.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
wait, what are you,
No.
That's right. All right. All right. The question is, Councilor Kurtz is calling the question. Who's second? Schultz, I'm sorry, Councilor Schultz. I was going to get through the whole night. Was it seconded?
No, you don't worry.
Was your motion seconded?
It was.
It was
Someone
seconded,
seconded
moved and
it.
seconded.
I didn't hear who seconded it.
Grant, I moved it and then
Moved it,
she
she
seconded
seconded
it.
it.
Yeah.
And
And then she
seconded.
made another
She made a
motion.
motion to move the
Call the
question.
question.
Call the question. Is there a second to call the question?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All right. All those in favor of calling the question, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no?
no?
All right. The chair is in doubt.
People seem to be confused here.
Point of order.
Yes?
What does call the question mean?
It means that it means that discussion is suspended and we go right to a vote. Okay.
On discussion on Counselor Caleb's?
No, on
That we
item
haven't
item
spoken to?
20.
Right.
There's been no discussion
Correct.
Because we voted.
Question's been moved.
Question has been moved, though.
with no discussion.
Correct.
All right.
That's
I'm going to ask for a roll call.
It's the quarterly status report.
But it's a, may I?
Yeah.
It's a roll call on the motion to call the question.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Because the chair was in doubt.
Thank you. I just wanted to be.
The chair was in
I just
doubt.
wanted to be-
Shall I start with you?
You may.
Mayor Champlin?
Yes.
Councilor Davy?
No.
Councilor Fennessy?
Yes.
Councilor Foote?
Yes.
Councilor Grady Sexton?
Yes.
Councilor Horn?
No.
Councilor Caleb?
No.
Councilor Keach?
Yes.
Councilor Kretovic?
Yes.
Councilor Kurtz?
No.
Councilor Schlosser?
No.
Councilor Schultz?
Yes.
Councilor Sekou?
No.
Councilor Todd?
Yes.
And Councilor Brown?
No.
It passes 8-7.
Okay. The motion passes. Are we ready for the motion to approve?
Yes.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Madam City Clerk, this takes us to item 21.
This was pulled from consent by Councilor Brown. It is the March 31st, 2026 fiscal year-to-date financial statements and report from the Deputy City Manager of Finance.
Move approval.
Second.
Seconded. Council Brown?
Yes. I'm just going to talk about page number 38, the golf fund, the revenue line, looking at league and tournaments, it's negative $10,802. This is important because there were 2 tournaments already, one with the Southern New Hampshire University, and today it was the New Hampshire Golf Association. We can look at the budget detail that is at the end of the budget document, the proposed budget document, and we're not seeing any revenue coming in from these tournaments. And in fact, there's a 3-day member tournament happening this month. So these are things that I want to draw counselors' attention to when we are considering how much money, taxpayer dollars, has been directed to the golf course.
Council Fennessy.
Thank you. I would just point out that these are the March 31, 2026 fiscal year to date financial statements, so I certainly wouldn't expect it to show anything for tournaments that took place since the course opened in April.
Councilor Creighton.
Or leagues that start this week.
Okay.
Well, then,
Councilor?
yes.
Councilors.
I would like to see, and this is one of the things I had asked, to see the net revenue from the tournaments that are happening, particularly the New Hampshire Golf Association tournaments that are happening at the golf course. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Great.
Thank you. Are we ready for the question?
Yes.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Madam City Clerk, item 24.
Skip one.
22.
Oh, I'm sorry, 22. Jeez, it's
Dinner
getting
time.
late, sorry.
This was pulled from consent by Councilor Caleb. It's a resolution authorizing the city manager to submit an application to the United States Department of Justice grant program for funds designated for law enforcement related programs.
Move rule.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Councilor Caleb?
Yes, thank you. I just had a few questions for clarity. So I noticed that the closing date for applying for this grant was April 21st, and I'm just wondering why we're receiving it now.
Mr. Spell?
These come up very quickly, and the city council has said if something comes up quick and we don't want to miss it, then it has authorized me to apply. But I always make sure I come to the council so the council's aware of it and that the community's aware of it. And then when the money actually comes in, it comes back to you and you appropriate it. Because particularly along with a lot of state dollars, they find that a lot of state dollars aren't used by other communities, and all of a sudden they'll let us know very quickly that some money might be available. So we'll apply for it quickly and get those extra dollars.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. If you don't want to do that, though, it's one of those things. It's one of those things where sometimes it's they give us 3 months, and sometimes it's 2 weeks, type of thing. So.
Follow up?
Yes, follow up.
I don't think I saw in here how much the grant application was for, the dollar amount.
It is about $24,000, and we have to share it with Merrimack. We do it as a joint application, and we share it with Merrimack County. So in this case, Merrimack County would receive about $5,000. What they spend their dollars on is up to them, and we received just over $18,000. That if it gets awarded, $18,000.
Okay, follow up?
Follow up.
So could you give me some examples of what these funds could be used for?
Certainly. So, thank you, Chief. Do you want to have the chief to speak to that, or you want to like?
That
me
would
to
be
speak to
great.
that? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
I asked him to be here for the whole meeting, so I want to.
Make it worthwhile.
Exactly. Thank you.
Welcome, Chief.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilors. So this particular grant here, we are using some of the funds on this one for some of our investigative tools that we get. A lot of these, especially going forward now with the technology that goes on, we need these items to continue. Specifically on it, some stuff that we use to just to pull out data from phones, devices. Our computer crimes unit uses this a lot to extract data, and we have to pay usually subscription fees for these, and that's what we use most of that money for. And then we're probably going to be using some of it as well for some security devices as far as when we're going into apartment buildings. Emergency needs it could be door openers, stuff like that, to allow us access into buildings for emergency needs.
Okay, thank you. Follow up?
Follow up.
Yes, I am just curious. I noticed a number of grants related to the police department. I don't know if you know, or Mr. City Manager might know off the top of your head. Perhaps in the last year, how much grant money has been awarded to Concord PD? I'm just curious.
I don't think I have a total, but in the quarterly reports that I give you, I list every single grant that you get. So in that, and not only just for PD, but for fire. So for example, fire just recently got $250,000 grant for stanchions, to, for parades, to keep, and we just accepted those dollars. But the police department has a whole series of Justice Department grants that we apply for. So it's all in writing in the reports that you have.
We have some more that will be coming up shortly as
Yeah.
well. When they come open, what we put in for them.
Okay. No, that makes sense. Follow up. I guess just in general, is it common for grants that you come across for police department to be able to be used on personnel?
Training.
Training?
There are grants you can apply to hire staff, police and fire, but generally what they like to do is they'll pay for the first year. Maybe they used to pay for 3 years. I think we did a grant, a cop grant it was called, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think we got the first 3 years of several, maybe 3 or 4 officers that we hired, and then you're required to pick them up the 4th or the 5th year. Those programs have now been dramatically reduced, and they're now, you can do maybe, they'll pick them up for maybe a year if you wanted to add staff. But generally we haven't been adding to the police department staff like that. So for police officers, so what we've been doing is going for grants for training programs. So, and that reduces the cost to the taxpayer.
Okay, perfect. Follow up?
Follow up.
So I pulled this, and I had sent Chief Moulton an email on Friday, because the timing. So I learned that, correct me if I'm wrong, there's sort of a hiring freeze for the open position for the social worker, and then obviously there are other open positions within the police department, correct?
We have a couple, yeah.
Yeah. And part of me just wanted to pull this to call attention to that, and I suppose, I know we're headed into a really challenging budget, and when I think about one of the greatest assets that the Concord Police Department has, I think of our social workers, and I know that our first social worker was hired under like an opioid abatement grant, and I know it's not preferable to hire based on grants or hire under grants. It's more preferable that their jobs are secure, but it is just something that I have in the back of my mind, because personally, it's very important to me that with our police department, we find ways to tackle crime at the root and address things before they come up, and our social workers are very talented. So that's the end of my questioning.
All right, thank you, Councilor.
Yeah.
Mr. City
Let's
Manager.
make a comment.
Oh.
There is no hiring freeze.
Oh.
Just clear, there's no hiring freeze, so I'm sure I won't
Okay.
see it in the paper tomorrow.
Sorry.
There is no hiring freeze, and we should not be
Okay.
bringing up it.
Thank you. I was surprised.
Okay.
I was surprised.
Councilor Grady Sexton.
Mr. Manager, would you also speak to the fact that we were one of the first municipalities not to fund this position through grant funding, and
That's correct.
right, and that the opioid abatement money is not grant funding?
Not exactly.
And for that very reason, because we think it's very important to be able to sustain this position and not to rely on grant funding, which of course, as you just noted, is, go ahead.
Yeah, no,
Please go ahead.
Sure. No, I just worry that with an open position and things potentially being challenging with our budget, that two social workers in a unit that has quickly become indispensable to our community, a reduction from 3 is a little bit stressful to think about in terms of considering burnout, and I know that a grant is not the best way to do things, and I'm not necessarily suggesting that, but I'll leave it at that because I'm going to stop making sense. I'm very tired.
Thank you. Mr. Isbell.
I'd just like to point out that in the budget for the police department, they requested funding for 3 police officers, and I put in funding for 3 police officers. And, not police officers, social workers. So all that funding is there, and as a matter of fact, I know the police department, the social worker creation of that whole division is something we started several years ago and been adding to it. I'd like to continue to add to it. So thank you for your support of it, and it is something that we came up with as staff, and I'm glad that you've come along and now that you're in support of it.
That's all I have.
Councilor Secco.
I just have a question for you, and this is really specific to this item that we are talking about, not the this grant, Edward Bryan Memorial Justice Assistant Grant, is it like not restricted at all, based on what you describe it to be, what you use it to, or is it some restriction into it?
There's about 7 parameters on there, what you can use the money for on there. I mean, it's mostly it's through equipment and anything to combat crime.
Thank you.
So it's got some movement on it, but it's not for a position.
Any other questions for the chief? Chief, I'm glad that it was worthwhile for you to stay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. All right. Are we ready for the question?
Yes.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And the ayes have it.
May I just make a note on
Yes.
something? So I apologize for being a little slow on this. With regard to item number 20, which was the item where
Yes.
the question was called, that vote needs to be by 2/3, and I believe it was an 8-7 vote in order to close debate on that. So
thank you.
I want to bring that to your attention and
Thank
to
you.
readdress that.
Thank you. All right, so, excuse me. Apologize. Let's go back to item 20. All right, Counselor?
Yes, thank you. And I just wanted to point out in this report, goal number 3, infrastructure investment and asset management, how important our parks, trails, recreational facilities are, and how important the trees are to those parks. I know the Memorial Field plan has not incorporated trees, but it is a devastating loss at Memorial Field. So that is something that is really important. And as we look at our parks, I want us to also consider the green resources that we have that are part of that. And also on page, looks like page 5, subcategory 1, public safety, health, and community well-being. When those trees were being cut, there were preschoolers on the playground at Woodside, and they were not contacted. So that is incredibly dangerous. There are 96 preschoolers in that school, and they're all about outdoor education. So more reason for making sure abutters, everyone is notified, especially when there is dangerous equipment happening, dangerous equipment involved. And on page 7, subcategory environmental responsibility, renewable energy management. Trees are amazing for shade, cooling. I just really want to hammer how important trees are. And subcategory 3, supporting an environment of transparency, clear public communication, collaboration, and teamwork. Woodside was not notified at all, even though Trinity Baptist School was contacted the day before the cutting. So we need to work on that. And finally, page 8, I just want to note that there was a tree pruning workshop, and I think that's great, and it happened March 18th. August 2025 is when Trinity Baptist Church asked for there to be pruning done. So if we had only held off a few months, that wouldn't have happened at Memorial Field. They could have had that pruned instead. So that's all I had.
Councilor Grady Sexton.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to note that the reports noted that the trees were dead. I also want to note that there was a tree in Massachusetts that last week fell on a child and killed them. So I think it's really important to have a clear and true narrative in terms of the trees on Memorial Field. Thank you.
I'd also like to point that, yes, there were children on the field when they were cut.
Counselor?
Yes, thank you. And also, I had requested the assessment from our arborist, who is a tree assessor. And I'm looking forward to that. I was told that we will get it by August. So we should have the true and factual report on the tree assessment that was done and the notification to abutters.
Council Fennessy.
Thank you. I just want to address one point. When there's work that hopefully is done at Memorial Field in the future, the plans do anticipate that there will be trees that get planted and there'll be additional landscaping as part of the design process. They don't show on the current conceptual plans because right now they're just trying to figure out what the fields would be and where they would be located before they get into plantings.
Thank you, Councilor. Mr. Conforti, do we need a second motion to adopt? We've already adopted it once, but do we need to do that again?
I think since it's been adopted already, it was just to close the debate.
Thank
and
you.
obviously that vote didn't hit the requisite number, so. I think
Exactly.
that-
Thank you.
that
You know,
debate's been had.
I said 3/4, and then I second guessed myself, so thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Madam City Clerk, brings us to item 24.
Yes, it was pulled from consent by Councilor Brown and Councilor Caleb. It's a resolution authorizing the transfer of $20,000 from the Event Art Grants Program to the Grants and Donations Fund to support the efforts of the City Council Ad Hoc Semi-Quincentennial and Tricentennial Committee for the July 4th Concord 250-300 celebration.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Councilor Caleb?
Yeah, so I'm just kind of failing to see the connection between this particular kind of event and the Spirit of Event Arts grant. I'm just wondering if maybe Councilor Kretovic could speak to that.
History is arts.
Okay.
This is a historic event that only happens once every 250 years for the Declaration of Independence and once every 300 years for the founding of Pennycook. Don't want to fail Pennycook. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Our committee was tasked with a 4th of July parade in celebration that ties in with activities that are happening at the State House. And so we need this funding in order to do a parade. We can't do it without it, and history is art.
Councilor Brown?
Oh, sorry.
Councilor Caleb, go ahead, follow.
I guess a question for Mr. City Manager. How much have we dispersed, or how many grants are we giving out under the Event Arts Grant this cycle?
For this fiscal year?
Yeah.
If you add in the ones that actually have been granted, and there's one outstanding, and then this one for $20,000. If you add those all together, you'd be at $94,750.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Brown?
Yes, so when this money was appropriated from the Economic Development Reserve, it was not statutorily compliant at that time. And I'd also like to point out a couple of things, that the co-chair of this committee is very invested in Concord, and in fact, 10 of his clients have had city contracts. So I would love to see a public-private partnership instead of using city dollars, if this parade could be sponsored. And also, I just, Concord 250, Councilor Todd did this amazing book for Concord's 250th, and I feel like by saying this is the Concord 250-300, this wasn't 50 years ago. It's not clear that it's the 300th of Pennycook, which was actually 1725, so it was last year. So I feel like we should not be dedicating these dollars to this event when I would like to see a sponsorship. So I am voting no on this motion.
Just for clarification, Councilor, yeah, Pennycook was the original name of Concord, and Concord was settled in 17...
I have something to share.
1726.
When we get to comments, if we get there.
All right, thank you. So and that's the 300th anniversary of this being memorialized.
Can I call the question? May I add one more thought?
Certainly.
Out of all of the organizations that have accepted grant money, this committee is actually selling banners and returning money back to the fund. And thus far, we've raised $4,500. There is a cost to produce the banners, so it's roughly $2,700, $2,800 coming back to this fund. While no other organization has done that. That is what this committee has committed to do. And there already are partnerships with other nonprofit organizations that are holding other events to tie together an entire series of things happening in June and July, all the way through September, when the airport celebrates its 100th year anniversary.
Councilor Grady Sexton.
Move the question.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All right. Councilor
Sorry
Foot.
to interrupt. I need to recuse myself because my wife sits on the committee and I just don't feel comfortable
She's
with the
selling the
conversation.
banners.
What's she gonna do with all the money?
Yes, sir.
We have a
Moving the question requires a two-thirds
You don't need
vote.
to excuse yourself. on that.
2/3 of those voting?
Two-thirds of the body.
Oh,
Correct, Mr.
point of
Conlon.
order?
Right. Point of order.
So, Counselor Foote recused himself because his wife is on the committee. If there are others on the committee here, will they have to recuse themselves as
She
well?
is selling the banners. There is a financial. She makes nothing from it, but it is his personal choice.
It's a city committee. The motion is to move the question. Non-debatable motion. Let's do a roll call. Madam City Clerk?
Mayor Templin,
Yes.
Councillor Davey,
Yes.
Councillor Fennessy,
Yes.
Councillor Foote. You
No,
cannot vote,
recuse.
sorry. Councillor Grady Sexton,
Yes.
Councillor Horn,
Yes.
Councillor Caleb,
Yes.
Councillor Keach,
Yes.
Councillor Kretovic,
Yes.
Councillor Kurtz,
Yes.
Councillor Schlosser,
Yes.
Councillor Schultz,
Yes.
Councillor Sekou,
Yes.
Councillor Todd,
Yes.
Councillor Brown.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, motion passes. Are we ready for the question, which is the approval of the item? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No.
Ayes have it. Whoops, and it passes by, does that require a two-thirds vote? No. No, so it passes by a majority. That brings us to item 27.
This was pulled from consent by Councillor Brown. It is Mayor Champlin's proposed appointments to the Board of Ethics.
All right, Councilor,
Move
do you have a
approval.
motion?
Second.
Move approval.
Tabling, making a motion to table,
Councilor Brown is making a motion to table.
to then go into non-public at a later date.
Councilor Brown is making a motion to table to go into non-public at a later date. Are you moving to table it to our June meeting?
Sure.
Okay. Councilor Brown moves to table until the June meeting. Right. Does everybody understand the motion? Councilor Sexton?
Yes, I think I still am going to recuse myself.
Okay.
Take a 6A, and then I'm not sure if it's on one of the nominations or if it needs to be on the slate, though.
In the past, I have recused on individual ones.
So I think, Your Honor, is that possible for me to do?
To recuse yourself?
From one of the nominations, I
Yes,
guess it's
you may.
hard because it's tabling motion. So it would be on Attorney Rosenberg because I recently consulted with his firm on a matter related to City Council.
Okay. All those in favor of tabling till January?
Wow. Yes, I'm sorry. I've also consulted with the firm.
Okay.
Not that particular attorney, but with the firm in regards to an issue from the City Council.
I have a question.
Councilor Kurtz? Councilor Schultz, I'm sorry.
Oh, again, you were so close,
I know,
Mr.
I was
Mayor.
so close, Chris.
We're
so
going to
close.
start a penny jar or something, like
Yeah,
a
you
curse
should.
jar,
Put
except
it
for it's
right
my
there.
name.
Put it
Wouldn't
right
that be a
there.
great idea? So my question is, because I don't know what court case we're speaking of, but if it involves another city councilor, shouldn't that person also recuse themselves?
Well, I think we are talking about appointees to the Board of Ethics.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
we're talking about.
I mean, I don't see how anyone would need to recuse themselves from this vote at all, but if one counselor is recusing themselves because of a person involved with a law firm that involves a court case, then the other counselor involved in said court case should also recuse themselves. Maybe.
I'm not sure which court case it is, but
I'm just,
I hear you. Are we ready
I'm
for a
guessing.
vote to table?
Yes.
I don't know if I'm voting or not.
Recuse yourself, so I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's not anyone on this slate.
Me
No,
neither.
I really don't think you should.
then I don't think you should recuse then.
Thank you.
I guess I won't either.
All right, okay, all those in
So
favor of
nobody's
tabling?
recusing.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No?
No.
No.
Okay, it sounds like the motion to table fails. Is there an alternate motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in
Call the
favor?
question. Oh.
All those
Go
in
ahead.
favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no?
No.
Ayes have it. Okay. All right, this brings us to comments, requests, et cetera. Mayor and City Council. Let's start with Councilor Todd,
Thank you, Your
who
Honor.
always has good stuff from Pennacook.
Now you've set this up now, I can't fail though, right?
That was the idea.
I hate that pressure, but I'll try. The 5th Annual Pennacook Memorial Day Parade will take place on Sunday, May 24th at 9 a.m. With thanks to the Pennacook Village Association and event organizers Cindy Jakes and Irene Ortega. The parade route is on Village Street. It starts at Merrimack Valley High School and it ends at the former Washington Street School. And there will be a remembrance stop this year at Woodlawn Cemetery where taps will be played, and a stop at Boudreaux Square. After the parade, stick around downtown Pennacook because Fox Hardware and Sweet Dreams Ice Cream at 325 Village Street is organizing an open house with local businesses and games for the community, and they will be serving lunch and goodies, so hope to see you there. And if that's not enough ice cream for you, Sweet Dreams Ice Cream is also collaborating with the Concord Public Library in a program where you read 5 books, you write the titles on a special bookmark, and then you turn that in to get a free small ice cream at Sweet Dreams.
Can adults do it too?
Adults can do it. The only drawback that I see is that all ages are welcome to participate. However, 1 ice cream per month per person.
Per month, okay. I just got a new goal.
Are these
No
jumbo
problem reaching
size, or are these like?
Well, small is still a very good size ice cream. At Sweet
This is
Dreams,
good.
so you'll be very happy with that. Yes. And then just to point out also that
American small.
library hours in Pennacook at the Pennacook branch are Mondays 9 to 3, Thursdays 1 to 7, and Fridays noon to 6. And the propagation station at the Pennacook Library is now going to be in place through the spring. So you can bring a labeled cutting or simply stop by during those library hours. Everyone is welcome to take a cutting home. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Horn.
I would like to give pre-congratulations to the graduates that will be graduating from Concord, Merrimack Valley High School coming up. This is very bittersweet for me with my baby graduating high school. It'll be 21 straight years I've had children in the Merrimack Valley school system, so this is hard for me, but congratulations to all of those students.
Councilor Kretovic.
I brought 2 items like show and tell.
Of course.
The time of year, if you have any of these things sitting in your garage or anywhere, please donate them to the bees. Our pros cut them down for the juniors so that they have the ability to have clubs without any purchase. And we do have the junior golf clinic that is going to be coming up. The second thing I brought is to allow you to touch history. The Concord Historical Society received this a few weeks ago and the glass was broken, and our friends at Rollins Studio put this back together from us. This is a power of attorney agreement from February 23rd, 1776, from the grandson of Ebenezer Easton, John Eastman, that is handing over that power of attorney to Richard Eastman. So with great care, please don't touch the back because it's not covered, but please look at the front. This is the person that was designated as the provincial captain from King George to settle New Hampshire and started Pennacook, although I will say that Judge Samuel Sewell was already here.
Cool.
Councilor, all set? Councilor Davey.
I can't top that. I'll remind everyone that CAT, Concord Area Transit, is doing a ride for the public on this Sunday at 2 p.m. We're meeting in front of the State House. They're going to talk about their routes and their operations and just what their challenges and strengths are at the moment. So I hope you'll join myself, and I think Councilor Kurtz will be there.
On the note of democracy, since I think our next council meeting is in the middle of the filing period, if you're interested in running for federal or state office in this year's elections, the filing period begins June 3rd and ends June 12th. You can do so at the city clerk's office. The clerk and her staff are amazing. It's only $2 to run for state rep. If you have any questions about that, talk to your fellow elected officials and/or members of the staff or the clerk herself.
It's a great deal because you get twice, you get 200 times that, or 100 times that back.
The $2 may be all that in a lot of cases, is all that someone will spend on their election in its entirety, donations or otherwise. That is not the case with me, but anyway.
Thank you. I just want to jump on about Cats Ride and Learn and let you know that they are seeking RSVPs so that they can determine how many buses to bring out. So if you are if you're planning to join at 2 p.m. on Sunday, please RSVP to Cindy Yansky. It's CYANSKI at CAPB as in boy, M as in man.org. You can also look on social media at Concord Green Space Coalition's social media. They are partnering with CAT and they have an RSVP platform there as well. I also want to remind everyone, as Mr. Lemieux did during his testimony, that this weekend is S&W Sports 17th annual bike swap. If you have things taking up space in your garage, you can drop them off Wednesday through Friday from 11 to 5. And then the swap itself, where you can shop, is Saturday 9 to 5, Sunday 9 to 1. And if you sell things at the swap, you get a certain amount of that back, and you can take it in store credit, and then you can buy yourself bike shorts or whatever it is that you need to bike to get your ice cream.
I think someone wants bike shorts. I need bike shorts.
For Mother's Day, and she didn't get them.
Yeah, exactly.
Birthday's coming up.
That's all
I'm all set.
All right. Councilor Keach. I'm good, thank you. Councilor Fennessy.
First, I want to wish a happy belated Mother's Day to all of the mothers around the table.
Thank you.
Saturday was a bit rainy, but it did not stop the Concord Little League from holding its parade and opening day ceremonies this year. I think I heard Gary Ford say there's 393 kids participating, which is a pretty good number. Might be the largest, according to Gary, which may or may not be true. But I want to take this time just to recognize the Volunteer of the Year that they named, Derek Mercier, who's a math teacher at the high school. I was trying to keep track. I think he's been the president for at least 7 years, and it might be more than that. We coached together for a number of years in the past. He's got his youngest son, who's a 12-year-old this year, and he claims this is his last year, and I hope it is, because he's put in a lot of time and effort. And it's one of those things, when you hear that someone's going to do that, I don't think anybody has any idea how much time he spends at the field between essentially April 15th and August. So I just want to give a shout out to him. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Caleb.
Oh, I know I usually yap a lot at this, but I'm very tired. I'm going to cede my time to Jim.
Okay. All right. It's only 10:30.
I served all weekend. It was
Okay.
Mother's Day weekend.
Well,
I'm
yes,
tired.
I sympathize. Councilor Second.
Thank you. I will second what Councilor Fennessy said. Happy Mother's Day to all mothers. I think this time of the year is the best time, but we celebrate our mothers every day. What I do want to say also is really to remind all city residents that the budget season is coming, and I think it's very important for all of you guys to show up and testify. This is a great opportunity starting Thursday, May 14th at 5:30, and will be Mondays and Thursdays, and we would love to hear from you and your input so that we can make a great decision for this. My other thing is Eid al-Adha is coming, where we will celebrate the Eid. Muslims celebrate twice a year, Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. And this year it will be on the 27th, and you will see a lot of them out there at the, hopefully, Kitch Park again. And I will stress it. Thank you to the police department, to the city staff, for always going above and beyond to give us that space to celebrate. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Brown.
Yes, and I just kind of want to piggyback on what Councilor Todd said about the library. Last month, I had brought in a clear backpack, which is called a lit kit. There's so much more that you can get from the library than books. And that kit, it was fantastic, had trees, birds, how to use a compass. It had 2 headlamps, binoculars. It's really, they do an amazing job at the library. I went to Gibson's to try to get the same books. And Gibson's actually came up with one book that was even better. So just a nod to our amazing institutions on Main Street. You can get great books at Gibson's, but you can also get great books at the library. I want to give a nod and a shout out to longtime volunteer Ruth Perencevich. If you bring small bills into the library and you go to the right, she is always carefully curating the book sale. And it's changing with the seasons, the themes, and that money goes to support the library. So you can buy books at the library, usually $1 or $2 for fantastic condition books. And also, if you go onto the library, if holding a book isn't your thing, you can go online to the Research and Learn, and they have an amazing resource called News Bank, where you have access to newspapers, and you can type in a name and you can see all kinds of archives. So I looked up Marjorie Swope, who served as the Ward 5 counselor, and you could see all the information about them. So it's just, the library is so much more, and it's a wonderful resource, and I hope everyone takes advantage of it. That's it. One last thing is that the library, the charter was accepted in 1853, and the public library was approved in 1855. That's how important literacy is to our community. That's it.
Thank you, Councilor. Good message. Councilor Foote?
I'll pass, thank you.
Too tired still? Okay. It's good to have you back. Only a couple of things. One is, I don't want Pennacook to overwhelm Concord or overarch Concord. Concord's Memorial Day parade is on Memorial Day, I believe, the 25th. Thanks to Concord veterans who are putting it on. I believe it's starting at 9 o'clock, and Councilor Todd is nodding so he knows all things Memorial Day. There certainly is an invitation to all city councilors to participate. I will be there, and I will be in Pennacook as well. So I encourage city councilors to consider participating in both parades. I also want to note a couple of weeks ago, I had the honor of attending the Concord Fire Department award ceremony at the Audi. It was a great event. I think this is the 3rd year I've attended as mayor and attended many years previously as a city councilor. I wanted to acknowledge the firefighter EMT Alexander Madsen, who was named Firefighter of the Year. He began his career with the Concord Fire Department in 2003, and over his career he's built a reputation as a highly respected and well-liked member of the organization. He has broad knowledge that spans a wide range of disciplines, and he consistently demonstrates a strong commitment to both his personal excellence and the success of those around him. It was really an honor to be there as he received his award. He is a senior member of Battalion 2, and he recently he transitioned from Battalion 4, where he served for many years with distinction. In any case, the award that he received noted that he consistently goes above and beyond for his fellow firefighters and the community. So it was great to be there with firefighter EMT Madsen. I also want to mention that the city manager and I and a number of the city councilors were at the State of the City breakfast that the Greater Concord Chamber of Commerce puts on, and we were honored to be there when Detective Stephen Carter was recognized as Police Officer of the Year. And I'm afraid I don't have his details, but it was great to see his family there. I think I saw his dad and his mom and his wife, and I think maybe a kid or two. Chief is saying no, yes, no. But it It was great to see, as usual, I went too far. It was great to see the pride that his family had in him, and also great to see the appreciation expressed by the people who were at the breakfast for the work that Detective Carter has done. So thank you to Detective Carter and to firefighter EMT Mattson. Also want to mention, I had a great note from one of our tree lovers in the city, and he said, I know the City Council sometimes tries to highlight positive events occurring in the city. One such event, albeit a small in the grand scheme of priorities for the city, was the Arbor Earth Day tree planting at Rollins Park, a partnership that included Jim Milligan of Modern Woodman, 2 third-grade classes with their teachers and principal from Abbott Downing, multiple city departments including General Services, Parks and Rec, and Planning, and several appointed members of the Conservation Commission and Tree Subcommittee. Granite United Way coordinated a service day to weed and mulch other nearby trees at the park. It was heartwarming and inspiring to see the engagement and enthusiasm of the students and the contributions of many to improve the city, albeit in a small yet tangible way. It was a great event. The kids were excellent. They knew their tree stuff down pat. You know, they knew all the good things about trees. So once more, it was a great event. Thank you to Modern Woodman. Thank you to she's gone now, but Beth Fenstermacher was the major domo, organized the whole thing with Jim Milligan from Modern Woodman. It was a great event. So, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. all in favor, yes. Aye?
Aye.
All right. Let's go.